I couldn't. I love the night. That's the only time I feel really alive.
That's what David wanted.
Blood, I was to find, was a necessity as well.
A vampire in love with a slayer. It's rather poetic. I am the monster the breathing men would kill. I am Dracula.
All right. Welcome, everybody. As always, I'm your host, Lena Nazari. The sun is going down. It's time to do a bonus episode because I actually said I was going to take August off, but I lied. But that's okay. We had to do this one. And do you know why? Because the first Blade came out August 21st, 1998. So when this episode drops, it's the 28th anniversary. And I knew if I was going to talk about Blade, I had to bring my friend Brian on. Brian, introduce yourselves. Tell everybody what you're doing here.
Thank you for having me on. My name is Brian. I am from the Killer Point of View podcast. I'm really excited to talk about Blade with you. I had you on, what was it, almost 2 months ago, I think? Mm-hmm. We did an episode about vampires. Which got a lot of good feedback from. And yeah, I'm really excited to be on your show.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. I think we talked for like 3 hours, and
it was a long time.
It was just vampires in general. We didn't even have we had so much to talk about, and so It became very clear that Blade was your number one. So I knew in the back of my head I was going to cover it, and I thought I got to bring Brian on. So. Do you remember the first time you watched the first one?
Oh, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember the first time. I remember bits and pieces. I want to say maybe it was at the drive-in, in Detroit. But I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. I do know the first time I seen the film, absolutely loved it. I was a huge Wesley Snipes fan before Blade came out, so seeing him do Blade was really awesome. And yeah, I hadn't quite seen anything like that at that point. Late 90s. This kick-ass black superhero vampire, just it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, I got to see it in theaters. All I knew was vampires. I didn't know it was a comic book. I didn't know any of that. I just knew vampires. And rewatching it this time around, I thought this is definitely where that shift happened. Early 90s, we had the more sexy vampires. We had Interview with the Vampire, and we had Near Dark, and we had Lost Boys, and we had all these and now we've transitioned to more of the Matrix style vampires, where it's more action packed. It's less of a romance story. And I do feel like this was that shift towards that direction of our late 90s, early 2000 vampire action films.
Yeah, I agree. I want to say it really ushered in the Matrix whole style. Because I know people think back to that late 90s, early 2000s, the Matrix might be the first thing that pop up, when you think about the black leather and action film and stuff like that. But Blade was there first. So yeah.
Yep, 100%. And it's funny, we'll talk about it. We're getting ready to dive in and talk about the first one. And everybody who's watching, you have a treat because we're talking about all three. And the first one I knew really well. The other two, not so much. So it was fun to go back and rewatch them now with these new eyes and looking at them from the vampire critique. But I remember watching Blade, and we talked about this on your podcast, which is there's some scenes that almost kind of change your brain chemistry. And this was one of them. So we'll get into it. So we do have some vampire crossovers. We have some nice ones too. So Arlie Jover plays Mercury in this movie. And Mercury is the blonde with the slick back hair that's his girlfriend, I guess. He has many girlfriends, but Frost's girlfriend. And then she plays the master in Vampires Los Muertos, which was the sequel to John Carpenter's Vampires. Stephen Dorff obviously played Frost. but he just returned to the screen in a vampire film called Vampires of the Velvet Lounge. So he returned to the vampire universe, which was fun. It was fun to see him in that.
Oh wow. Have you
And
seen
then,
that film?
oh yeah, I went and saw it in theaters.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's
Is it
it's
good?
worth a stream. It's very silly. It was not what I thought I was watching at all. But it's worth a stream. Definitely sit down and watch it. I got to see
Okay.
it like opening night. And then of course Udo Kier. I mean, vampire god. So he was in this. He was the head of the vampire council that they take out to the bluffs. And then he was in Blood Rain, Dracula 3000, Shadow of the Vampire, Modern Vampire. So Udo Kier loves a vampire film. And
Right.
then of course Donnell Logue, who plays he's Frost's like right-hand man. He plays himself in the show What We Do in the Shadows, where he got himself turned into a vampire because he had so much fun on the set of Blade. So it's like very meta. It's a lot of fun. And then of course I felt like I had to mention it, but Wesley Snipes would reprise this role two more times in his franchise, and then of course in Wolverine and Deadpool. So it was good to see. And he famously said there's only one Blade, which I remember like my mouth dropping open because that's when they were trying to remake Blade. I mean, now it's dead in the water, but when he turned and said that, I was like, oh, the shade,
Right.
the shade.
I was hoping they I mean and they still can bring him back as Blade, but I mean probably not at this point.
Wesley's
But
up there, right? What do you think he is?
yeah,
60?
he's up there in age for
He's up
sure.
there, yeah.
Um
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I mean maybe he could be, teaching like the next guy or something like that. Maybe
That's
he
what
can play
I
like
thought
the
they would
the Whistler
do.
role. Yeah,
That's
I
what
don't
I
know.
would do.
Yeah. I mean it makes sense. But yeah, I watching Blade 3, I know we haven't gotten there yet, but watching Blade 3 and thinking about Deadpool and Wolverine was like
Yeah.
it was a mind trip.
Isn't it? It's so we'll talk about it when we get to three, but that was definitely the most surreal experience to rewatch that one. So let's dive in. So Blade. Let's go. So I remembered the first scene being the club scene, but I was wrong. So the first scene is it's 1967. We're in an emergency room. There's a woman being rushed in on a stretcher. Someone's holding a bloody towel to her throat. She's pregnant. She's going into labor. Her wallet falls, and we see that her name is Vanessa Brooks. And I think she was a cab driver. The baby is born. It's being carried away as she's reaching out, and then the heartbeat flatlines. And I knew that scene was in the movie, but I always thought it was like a flashback later on. I didn't realize that's how it opened because in my memory, it opens with the club scene.
Of
So,
course.
yeah, it's funny how your brain does that to you. But then we get our title card.
Mm.
Now we get the scene I remember. I think that everybody remembers,
Yes.
which is a man and a woman driving towards a warehouse. She leads him in. It's like a meat packing plant. She's speaking a different language. And some of the people, she's speaking to these other people inside. She's speaking a language. She's saying, he's with me, and leads the man to what appears to be a meat locker. But once they're in the meat locker, it's like a secret indoor rave, which, man, do I miss raves. Hundreds of people dancing, hundreds of people all over the place, DJs playing. And actually, I just realized that Frost is at the rave.
I don't know if I caught that.
He just kind of walks by and then we
Oh
just get a
yeah.
quick shot and I'm like, "Oh, I forgot that Frost is there. Everybody's there." But I guess they get away. So,
Yeah.
he's having a blast. He's dancing. He thinks he's gonna, get lucky with one of these hot chicks that are around him. Suddenly blood drops land on his face. And this is when the reveal happens. The sprinklers spray blood. It says bloodbath. It's a blood rave. He starts looking around and he is surrounded by vampires. So this is our first shot of the vampire, which is the fangs can descend and retract because we don't always see fangs. Clearly,
Mhm.
they drink blood. So those are our first two things. So do you remember watching this scene for the first time?
Yes. I I remember this scene, watching this for the first time. Because, seeing the blood and everything, it's like, it's gross, but at the same time, it looks fun.
Uh,
Everybody's just dancing around. Great song playing. It was crazy to see. And especially when you start to notice that it's a room full of vampires. It's like, oh shit, this
well,
guy is
and
in
then you
trouble.
realize it's one human and
Yeah,
all those
yeah.
vampires, which just feels like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Um, do you know they do blood raves? There's one happening here in Pittsburgh.
I I've seen, like, I think on Instagram or something like
Yeah,
that they like, I've seen somebody promoting it or something like that.
yeah.
I really want to go to one.
I was
I
gonna
really do.
ask, would you do it? If it wasn't Halloween night, I would go, but I just have the Halloween night is like a way too
Yeah.
much going on. Maybe one
Yeah.
day. Maybe I'll catch one. I'll let you know. I'll send you pictures.
Awesome.
So he starts screaming. He's trying to get out. He's down on the floor. He's crawling along the floor, and he comes up to our POV of black boots. The sprinklers stop. The crowd pulls back, and we see our first shot of Blade. Blade is there. And I think there's even rumblings of like, it's the Daywalker. He's here. Someone screams Daywalker, and Blade starts to fire his shotgun, which we'll talk about his weapons. As the ammo hits the vampires, they disintegrate. So this is our first shot of what happens to a vampire when it dies in this universe, which is, this is my favorite way for vampires to go. They just disintegrate and disappear. Nice, clean, easy. You know if you got them, nice. But what did you think of the special effects now?
I definitely noticed that
I
there's
know,
special effects.
I know for sure.
um,
It didn't bother
uh,
me.
no, no, I don't think it's horrible,
Yeah,
but you could definitely tell. It's like, oh,
especially,
that's
yeah.
definitely CGI right there.
Oh, and now on our really good TVs, like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a little rough.
Hmm.
But we see him also use metal stakes. He stabs one up through the bottom of the jaw and into the brain. So that tells us it doesn't have to be a heart, it can be a brain as well.
Right.
As the rave starts to thin out, into the room comes a vampire named Quinn. This is when we meet Quinn. And Quinn has some backup with him. He's running his mouth. And this is when we get to see the boomerang. So Blade has this like bladed boomerang that he's able to throw around in a circle, and he gets all of their throats, and they all just turn into ash one by one, all but Quinn. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite, like, kill scene moments
Yes.
in the beginning of the film was
Yeah.
that.
Uh-huh. 100%. I'll tell you what my favorite part is when it happens. But then he shoots, so his like shotgun shoots metal stakes.
Hmm.
But instead of just shooting Quinn in the heart, he shoots him in each shoulder and like pins him up against a wall. And he's like, I'm really sick of cutting pieces off of you. And I'm just like, why wouldn't you just, I guess because we need him for the movie.
Right. Of
But I'm
course.
just, um, he pins him to a wall. And then this is when he does the fist pump. I don't
Yeah, Wesley Snipes was funny in this movie. I don't know if that was like intentional or if he
I
was
don't know
just like
either.
improvising, but it was funny.
And I don't remember laughing as much as I did this time around. But the little, he's like, he doesn't even wants to be doing it. It's so awkward, but it's perfect. I wouldn't change it. It's
Right, right,
perfect.
right.
But he definitely comes across awkward. So he goes to talk to the trapped vampire who's now speaking this. It sounds Slavic, but I think it's supposed to be a made up vampire language, like an ancient vampire language. But it does sound
Okay.
sort of Slavic. Blade says, I'm getting tired of chopping you up. I'm going to try fire for a change. Give my regards to Frost. And then he lights him on fire, which is awesome.
Which
Uh,
doesn't kill him. It doesn't kill him.
Quinn is hard to kill. I would love to know Quinn's whole back. Like, how old are you? Why are you so hard to kill?
Right,
Um,
right.
this is a great shot. So the cops enter, they see Quinn and fire and the terrified, blood-soaked human, but no Blade. He's just gone. Great. And there's a scene of like the human tries to run and Blade kind of grabs him, checks his throat really quick, and then moves on. He's like succinct. I love it.
Yep.
So I know that we have talked about this because we talked about it on your podcast, but has to be one of the top five openings of any movies, not even just vampire films. I mean, still, I seeing it in theaters was, I'll never forget it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely memorable. That anytime I hear that song, immediately think of that scene. They go hand in hand. It's
Yep.
forever cemented together. Um, yeah, it might be top five for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So we see him, he kind of crawls out of this like sewer grate or window and then just kind of walks down the alley and he's gone. Which also, full leather trench coat. Looks cool, but seems maybe not the most efficient when you're out fighting vampires, but works for him.
True, true. I don't
Seems
know if
heavy,
that came from the comic book.
maybe.
Um, um, but yeah, you would think because throughout the movie you see him like kind of
Mhm.
moving it out of the way when he's trying to do certain
Totally.
things and stuff like
Yep.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I noticed
I
in
don't
the
know.
third one, he takes off the coat and he's wearing like a compression shirt with like a vest. And I was like, see,
Hmm.
that looks more efficient, looks more
Right.
appropriate for a vampire. But
Maybe he wanted to look like that's his Batman look.
maybe,
you know,
yeah.
instead of a cape, he got the trench coat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Or maybe it has some kind of protective material. I mean, he's got a lot of technology, so.
true, true.
All right. So now we're at a hospital morgue. This movie cuts a lot. And
Mhm.
very gray too, lots of muted tones. So we're in a hospital morgue. Quinn's charred body is wheeled in, and the attendant says the cop said he was still screaming when they found him. He was pinned to a wall. And this is where we get to meet Karen Johnson. So she's a big player in this world. We see on her badge she works in hematology. She's in the lab, and a peer named Curtis comes in and she explains that this blood sample that he's given her from the cadaver that just came in shows glucose 3 times the normal, and the phosphorus and uric acid were extremely elevated. The red blood cells themselves are irregular, and she wants to come look at the body. And they also mention that the maxilla and the canines are abnormal. So that tells us that, like, once you turn into a vampire, the whole maxilla shifts. I'm guessing in order to retract and drop those fangs. I don't know. But we never hear anything else about the vampire anatomy. I wish we'd gotten more of that because I thought that part was interesting.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they could have stayed in that world a little bit longer, but they just kind of kept cutting moving forward. So yeah, I agree.
You're gonna have to give me 30 seconds. I have secret bones that I only pull out when I'm trying to do interviews to stop her from crying at the door.
It's okay.
I'm gonna go grab one. I shouldn't because she's on a diet, but I'm just gonna do it. But yeah, I wish we had seen more of the anatomy stuff, especially if you're gonna include a hematologist. Play with that a little bit more. And they almost kind of do, but then Karen just falls off. We never see her again. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a shame. So we learned that Curtis and Karen used to be a couple. He wants her back. She doesn't want anything to do with him. And the discussion is interrupted by Quinn sitting up and biting Curtis. He chases Karen into the hallway, bites her when Blade shows up, chops off Quinn's arm. The cops shoot at Blade, who's wearing Kevlar. Smart. But Quinn has the chance to jump out of a window and escape. Blade approaches the still alive Karen, lifts her up and runs, throws Karen out the window onto the roof. Then he follows, they run. He fixes her dislocated shoulder, which I have to tell you, the one thing that everybody has something in movies where they're just like, oh, anything with
yeah.
joints, joints out of place, joints snapping, bones
That
snapping,
gets you.
joints. Oh, oh. So yeah, the pulling her arm back in place, I'm like, oh. Um, it's Dawn as he drives her back to his, we're gonna say lair,
Right,
your house,
right.
Batcave. Yes, okay. And that's when we meet Whistler. Whistler is such a good character. Such a good character.
Yeah, he's almost like Wesley's or not Wesley, but Blade's Alfred almost.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
you know,
Yeah, but he's
at
like
his
grizzled and he has a limp and yeah,
yeah, you can tell he's been through some things.
yeah. Blade tells him Karen's been bitten, and Whistler says, "You should have killed her." Then he says, "Watch her close. If she starts to turn, finish her off, or I will." So we know that Whistler is very like black and white.
Yep. Yep.
Whistler injects her with a garlic mixture, and she like seizes and screams. So we know that garlic burns the vampires in this world.
Uh-huh.
Whistler says, "I give her 50-50 to survive the night." So this is where we get a little bit of like the sort of the vampire like anatomy, biology that doesn't hold up throughout the films, but they start to toy with it a little bit here with the like, we have this cure that will either turn back the turn or it will slow the turn or it will cure vampirism. It seems to change based on the circumstance.
Right, right. Yeah, I noticed that on
Yeah.
this last watch. I noticed that a lot.
Because I did too. I was like, now that we're sitting down and taking notes, that consistency is really not there with the whole cure thing.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of all over the place,
It
but I
was
mean,
all over the
yeah.
place. And by the third one, I don't know if you're like me, but I was like, what do you mean? They would say something.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I got completely lost in the second film. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was like, okay, whatever they say
Okay.
goes.
That's where I was in the third film. I was like, whatever. I just got to finish this. So now we cut to the Vampire Council, which that's one of my favorite tropes, is when there's like a council or a government that kind of rules the vampires. I always love that idea. And that's led by Dragonetti. That's our boy Udo Kier.
Hmm.
He's looking at pictures of the massacre from the rave and he says, "Send in Frost." We finally meet Frost, who was at the rave. You get to see him just for a second. And we see him smoking. So we know vampires apparently can imbibe in substances. He is chastised by the elders in their vampire language and told that he's a disgrace to the vampire nation. And this is where we learn there's a treaty saying that if they multiply into numbers too great, the human politicians will make their lives difficult. So I wish they had played more with that as well. So there's like a whole treaty between the vampires and the humans
Right.
that like they kind of help each other out, but the vampires are not allowed to multiply too large. That's the key. We also learn in this world there are purebred vampires who are born, and then there are turned vampires like Frost. I always like that idea. And the
Yeah, I wish
council,
they
of
would
course,
have.
go ahead.
I wish they would have went more into how the purebred vampires were, like how are they born a vampire. That would have been interesting to see.
That's what I'm saying. Like the first movie, even the second movie, there are some really great ideas that I was
Yeah,
like, can we play with that a little bit? Can we pull that out a little bit? And then they just like jumped the shark in number three. But I was like, there's a lot of good things here. But I
yeah.
haven't read the comics. Have you?
No, I haven't really read any of the Blade comics. I kind of want to go back and read some though, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Maybe that's like these ideas are coming from the comics and they're just kind of throwing them in. I'll have to read some. We'll have to read some and maybe we'll have a follow-up and we'll talk about the comic.
Yep, yep.
So they say to him, "Your nightclubs are drawing way too much attention," which I agree. I think that's kind of a bad idea. They want the vampires to blend in. Frost doesn't agree. He says vampires should rule over humans. This is something we see all the time in vampire movies. There's always the group of vampires that are like, no, 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 we're at the top of the food chain. They should bow down to us. We should make them into cattle, blah, blah, blah. We hear this one all the time.
Yep, yep.
Dragonetti says vampires have existed this way for thousands of years, which again, I'm like, can we hear more about that? And Frost threatens that one day the purebreds are going to wake up and find out they're extinct. Those are big words. Those are big
Yeah.
words. Because, like, how old do we think Frost? Frost is not that old, so that's kind of ballsy.
Yeah.
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 So Blade enters into an apothecary and he looks at a bottle of garlic essence and then he gives a bunch of money to the shopkeeper and the shopkeeper's like, "Hey, you're a week early." And Blade says, "Whistler thinks that I'm building a resistance." So he's handed a bottle of something that's made by this apothecary. And we learn that whatever it is that Blade is taking in, he's having to take it in more often now, which is probably not a good sign. Karen wakes up in Blade's bedroom. She's looking around. Clearly, he's a reader, and I think he's a Buddhist because I think that's like a Buddhist area, like a temple for meditation that's in his bedroom. Is that how you took it?
Um,
Like a
I,
pillow and there's incense and
I never, I didn't pay too much attention to it, but
Mhm.
it wasn't what I was expecting a vampire to sleep in.
I know. And I thought, well, is that to hint at like he's trying to control his rage? Because is that what the meditation is for? Like to control that
Mm,
rage.
yeah.
She finds an old operator's license with the name Vanessa Brooks. So this is our attachment to that very first scene. She finds all his weapons, uncovers a sword, and this is so cool. Touches the hilt and it starts a mechanism, and then the blades come out of the hilt and then come back in.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so cool. I forgot that part.
Yeah. One of Blade's many cool weapons.
So cool. Whistler and Blade are talking about her and the fact that she's a hematologist, and Whistler injects Blade with an increased dose of whatever it was he just got from the apothecary, and it's clearly very painful because we see him like jerking and seizing and reacting. She is watching and tries to run, but Whistler stops her, and she is introduced to Whistler and Blade officially at this point in time. So they tell her I love when this speech happens in movies. Vampires are real. Everything you saw in movies is bullshit. We're out there fighting them. We learn that crosses don't do squat, but vampires are allergic to silver. Garlic causes anaphylaxis, which is interesting. And of course, the sun will burn them alive. And then he pulls out the UV flashlight and hands it to Blade and says, and Blade says, this is one of my favorite interactions. Blade goes, well, it's still heavy. And Whistler goes, but you're so big.
Still heavy, but you're so big.
Yeah, you could tell that they have like a really great dynamic. Um
Yeah.
I know we see them, interact with each other a little bit, but
Yeah.
you could tell that they definitely have some funny conversations
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
And the delivery is so dry and so funny. He just goes, but you're so big.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Blade tells Karen you need to leave town because you've been exposed and someone is going to come take you out. And she says, I have blood samples. I'll go to the police. And Whistler says, they own the police. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we get something interesting, which is vampire mace. Do you remember that?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Silver nitrate and garlic. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's a good way to use that. They say, keep your eyes open and be careful. And then he says, this is so dark. Buy yourself a gun. If you get sensitive to the sun and you're thirsty, no matter how much you drink, use that gun on yourself.
Yeah, that was a really dark moment. But I mean, if you don't want to become a vampire, and what you would be capable of at that point, there's one way to not go through that. So
Yeah.
he was being honest. He was being brutally honest.
Yeah. And then I wrote, and then Blade gives her an uncomfortable ride home because it's just silence. And I'm
Yes.
like, what do you even say at that point?
Like you just told me vampires were real, and now we're just in the car
And
being
I've been
quiet.
bitten,
Like,
and you said, do yourself a favor and kill yourself if you think you're drinking. And then they just ride home in silence.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Blade was cold. Blade was cold.
I mean, I get it. He's supposed to be like, he's shut down. He's been through so much. I get it, all that stuff. But also, I'm just like, yikes. So now we're back with the vampires. Dragonetti is in some kind of underground archive room. He finds Frost, who's trying to translate some ancient texts written in a dead language. He's been told to stay out of the archives, but he won't listen. Dragonetti just bitch slaps him and says, what are you up to? But Frost doesn't back down, so Dragonetti leaves, and the computer continues to try and decode the ancient text. This was another moment where watching the computer and the graphics, I was like, oof, they really don't hold up,
Yeah,
do they? Yeah.
yeah. I was like, yeah, I remember computers used to look like that.
The black with the green text.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
wow, that looks so bad.
yikes. And then I think he has like a disc man that he's like sitting and listening to.
Yeah,
pretty sure it was a disc man. Yeah.
yeah, he was listening to something. Yep.
Yep. So, don't move too much or that's going to skip. Blade drops Karen off and says, look out because vampires are everywhere. And then he just takes off. All right. So this is another interesting thing we get to see. So she sees two people who have the same tattoo on their necks as she gets into the elevator. Once she's
Uh-huh.
off the elevator and in her apartment, she starts to pack when a cop comes in. This is Officer Krieger, and he says, you were reported missing. People at the hospital said you got kidnapped. He explains Curtis didn't make it. And he says, don't worry because you're about to be dead too.
Because you're dead too, bitch.
She sprays him with the mace, and he's like, what the fuck? I'm not a vampire. Remember that part?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Blade shows up and saves the day and explains that Krieger is a familiar, and then we see the tattoo also on the back of Krieger's neck. So they call it a glyph. And this sort of marks the human servants, and
Mhm.
each vampire master has their own glyph. That's really cool.
Yeah. Because, there's definitely going to be people who want to be cool with vampires or,
Uh-huh.
someday they want to become a vampire. So, yeah, they're definitely going to be working with vampires for sure.
And the
So,
idea
it
that they
makes
get
sense.
branded, like that's so cool. I want my own glyph. I might have to hire an artist to be like, design me something. All right. Bup. Krieger is owned by Frost. So we learn that the glyph that's on the cop is Frost. Blade explains they've been tracking Frost for a while. In the trunk of Krieger's car is blood bags, and Blade wants to know where those bags were going. Karen stops Blade from shooting Krieger, and Krieger gets away. She insists, she's like, I'm staying with you at this point in time. It's the only way I'm going to stay alive. And then this is like such a throwaway line, but it's really important. She goes, I need to stay alive until I can make a cure for myself. That's kind of important. So
Right,
it was
right.
such a throwaway line, but she's going to try and develop a cure because she already has the samples in the hospital. So she wants
Mhm.
to create like a vampire cure and try and cure herself. So they sit in his car all day long, waiting for Krieger to return to his cruiser. And she's like, it would be very stupid of him to come back. And then he shows up. So they follow. And oh my God, he drives so fast in the city. Like,
Yes.
so fast.
Maybe he got quick reflexes and he's able to like dodge cars and stuff like that. I
Be
don't know.
nervous. Um, Krieger, meanwhile, we see him get on the radio and say, get me Pearl. So this is our first hint at someone named Pearl. And then he says, I have a delivery for Frost and I just had a run in with Blade. Clear out that clinic on Hillburn now. So this is kind of a hint where like they own these clinics and that's probably how they're getting their blood bags. And now Blade is on to them. So they have to move their business, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, Krieger leads them to a building with a vampire mark on it. And so this indicates that it's a vampire safe house, which also is a very cool idea. Blade looks and he can tell that the building that Krieger is running into, that the valet, the doorman, and the sex worker across the street are all vampires. And he says, can't you tell by the way they move and the way they smell? So Blade clearly has like heightened senses, but I also think
Mhm.
it's interesting that once they're turned, they move differently. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see them like show
Through
how
his
they
eyes.
move differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we could have gotten his POV for a second, I think that would have been cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Then we get one of my favorite tropes, which is the monologue of what works and what doesn't work with a vampire. So for my podcast, I'm like, this is great because I can just take notes. I don't have to try and figure it out on my own. Um, Crosses and running water don't do dick. Using a stake, silver, or sunlight. He hands her a gun with hollow point bullets full of garlic and says, aim for the head or the heart. And then they bust into the club. Krieger sees Blade and runs. Blade fights his way to the back and gets up Krieger, who admits that behind the fridge is a secret passageway.
Yep.
So, yeah. So then he says to Krieger, tell Frost it's open season on all suckheads.
You tell him it's open season on all suckheads.
I love like some of the lines that
As an
Blade.
actor, I was like, oof, that's a rough one. But he makes
Yeah.
it work.
yeah, Wesley does that in quite a few movies in the 90s. So that's why I find it so funny.
I was like, oof, suckheads. Um, so he lets him go and then he heads into the secret back room. This is such a good scene. As
Mm.
he's walking, he says the vampires are embedded in tech, finance, and real estate, and then obviously law enforcement and politics, which we've already talked about. Meanwhile, we cut to Frost's place. And I remember being like 18 and seeing this movie and thinking that's the coolest apartment I've ever seen. It's so cool. It's like a rooftop. And then he has these steel doors that fall down during the day and they like
Yep.
lift up and you see everybody partying and there's like a pool. And then he has this like coffin bed. It's like a big silver rectangle that lifts up and that's how they sleep during the day. And I was like, this is the coolest apartment I've ever seen in my whole life.
Right.
In his bedroom, the girlfriend wakes up in the huge coffin bed as the computer that he's in front of starts to show him something that he's very excited about. And again, we get to see the late 90s like graphics. And it's just,
Yeah, it was so bad.
it looks like Minecraft with like the block figures and
Yeah,
blocks.
yeah. I was waiting to hear dial up. Like I was waiting to hear it.
I was like, oof, this does not hold up. Um, Krieger arrives and tells Frost that he mistakenly led Blade to Pearl and he's so sorry. Frost is very upset and then just rips his throat open with his teeth, makes out with the blonde vampire next to him while covered in blood. Very cool scene. Like, it so quickly shows us just how ruthless Frost is. Frost tells Quinn, I want Blade and I want him alive. So now we get to meet Pearl. This is such a great scene. Pearl is the vampire record keeper, and Pearl has got to be 1,000 pounds. Massive. Like, what's the character in Star Wars?
Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, Jabba. That's what it made me think of.
Yep, that's
And
what I thought of too.
yeah. And Pearl is on a video call early. This is like early video calls with Frost and says, so we get to hear him as Blade and Karen are walking up. And he says, you will need 12 pure bloods to make the ritual work. And then Pearl starts screaming to Frost that Blade is here. Blade is going to kill me. And Frost is like, Pearl, you're toast. Try and die with dignity. And then cuts the call. Oh, but first Blade turns to the screen and says to Frost, oh, Frost says to Blade, I heard you've been looking for me. I'm flattered. And Blade says, it'll pass.
Frost, I hear you've been looking for me. I'm flattered. It'll pass.
And then the call cuts. So good. So they use that UV lamp, that UV flashlight to burn Pearl
Yeah.
and use it to torture Pearl into telling Blade what Frost is up to. So this is when we start to get like a little bit of what's going on. So Pearl has virtual images up again, looks like Minecraft, but this is the same thing that we saw on Frost's computer. And Pearl explains it's a piece of prophecy, and he says in the vampire language, La Magra is coming, the spirits of 12 will awaken the blood god. So then Blade takes the disc. So now they break into the other part of the archives, which is where Frost was earlier. And this I thought was so cool. And it's these pieces of glass hanging suspended from the
Mhm.
ceiling with like their ancient text inside. That was really cool. I
Yeah,
really
that was
liked
pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah, it was
That's
very
pretty
cool.
cool.
Yeah. And so he mentions that it's like their vampire Bible. I don't remember what the name of it was, but I thought it was really neat.
Uh, I can't remember.
Yeah, but he's like, it's basically their vampire Bible. And
Mhm.
so in this big room with the suspended glass panes, he like sees movement. So he knows that somebody's in there. So then we get this huge fight scene. In the beginning of the fight scene, he finds this little tiny female that looks like she's scared and then reveals herself to be not only a vampire, but a vampire that knows karate. Apparently, all these vampires know karate. So they fight. Quinn shows up. A dozen other vampires show up. It's a huge fight, and it's a very cool fight in the midst of all these glass pieces. But they do manage to get the best of him, and he's being held captive. One of the vamps grabs his sword by the hilt, only for those blades to extend, and like his hand blows up, which is very cool. But then we see Quinn. is regrowing that limb that got cut off. So that's interesting.
Yes.
These vampires can regrow limbs and apparently repair burned flesh because we're seeing his flesh is repairing as well.
Yeah. So he can regenerate.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool power. Um, so Quinn pulls one of those silver stakes from Blade's holster and stabs him in the shoulder. He's like, I owe you one. And then he was like, no, wait, I owe you two. But we see that Blade has an earpiece in his ear. There's an explosion. Whistler arrives. He gets them free enough to run, but the vampires are right behind him. Whistler and is separated from Blade and Karen.
Hmm.
This is the train scene, which again didn't hold up as well as it was so cool in 98. But now when you rewatch it, you're like, oh, okay. So yeah. Quinn and Blade have a fight on like a train platform, like an underground subway station. Quinn
Mhm.
loses an arm again, which I love this bit throughout the movie, how he keeps losing arms.
Yep.
Um, but Blade like grabs onto the back of a passing train and grabs Karen, and I was like, ooh, that does not hold up. And this is when we get the backstory. So Blade is a Dampier. We learn when they get back to headquarters, Whistler explains that Blade was found by Whistler when he was 13 on the streets. Blade was 13, not Whistler.
Mhm.
He was feeding on the homeless. His bloodthirst hit at puberty. His mother was attacked when she was pregnant. She died, but the baby lived. But he's altered. He has all of their strengths, but none of their weaknesses. He ages like a human, unlike the vampires who do age, but very, very, very slowly. So I was like, I want more of that. Explain that.
Mhm.
The serum that they've been giving to Blade controls the thirst, but his body is adapting and they need to find a cure before the vampirism takes Blade over. So what do you think about that origin story?
I thought it was pretty cool. Knowing that I wish they would have did like a quick flashback to when Blade was a kid and kind of,
Yeah.
experiencing that stuff for the first time. It
Hmm.
would have been cool to see like how he reacted to it. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Um, and knowing that he still ages like a regular human being, even though he has all these abilities that the vampires have,
Yeah.
and he has none of their weaknesses. He can walk in
Yes.
daylight and things like that. It's pretty cool,
Yeah.
especially someone who never read the comics. So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I think it's a really cool origin story. And I love the idea of like what happens to a baby in utero if the mom is attacked, especially because apparently in this world, a bite is all it takes. You don't have to do like
Right.
a full embrace or anything. So that makes it seem more like it's viral. So how quickly is that going to be in the body and is it going to get to the baby and how will that affect the baby? I thought that was really interesting. Sad. It was
Hmm.
sad, but I thought that was really interesting. But like you, I wish we had seen more of that. I want to see more of the backstory, more of the science. Maybe they had bigger plans and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You could tell that they were really focused on like the action in the
totally.
film for sure. So
Yeah, totally. We also learned that Whistler's whole family was killed by vampires and he had to watch. That's awful.
yes.
They've been hunting vampires together ever since, but they say something is going on because all of a sudden, do you have to go? Do you need a second?
Oh, no, no, no.
Oh,
It's fine. Just turn the light on.
I can see you. Yeah, normally I have the lights off, but it's like exceptionally dark today and my camera couldn't focus, so you get to see me in the light. Um, they say something big is coming because suddenly the vampire numbers are getting like out of control. And they know whatever's happening, Frost is at the center.
Hmm.
Um, Karen goes to Blade, who says, I've spent my whole life looking for the monster that killed my mother and made me what I am. With Frost, Quinn, and Mercury, they're all arguing about who's fucked up the most, basically. Frost explains to Quinn that he needed Quinn to keep it together for what will come next. Cut to Frost and Mercury making out in a car, which I guess Frost has multiple girlfriends, is what I'm guessing.
I would assume so.
Yeah. Which I'm not
Seem like he
judging.
pretty much do whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's very vampire activity, but we see mostly him and Mercury until the end, which I know
Yeah.
why. It's fine. Um, they're covering each other in like cream. And I was like, I don't remember this. But then it all came back to me. I was like, what? They're like making out and covering each other in lotion. I'm like, what am I watching? Dragonetti is walked out to this like rocky outcropping out into the water.
Mm.
Um, and Frost and his goons like drop him down to his knees. The sun is starting to rise, and Dragonetti is starting to steam and turn to ash. Frost pulls out Dragonetti's fangs, which I forgot that part. I forgot
I
that part.
This is one of the scenes I remember from watching when I was younger, for sure.
Oh,
That whole scene with the sunset and everything. Yeah, I remember that.
I remember him being pulled out in the sun, but I forgot that they pulled his fangs out. But then Dragonetti starts to burn. So the rest of the vampires, in case people did not pick up on what was happening, they've like caked themselves in sunscreen. They're
Mhm.
wearing head to toe leather. They've got gloves and they have helmets. How do you feel about that? Do you think that that would be sufficient for vampires to be out in the sun?
Um, Again, if they would have explained this in the film,
Yes.
it has to do something with science and like the skin or the sun touching your skin, I would assume.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
I was like,
I don't
okay.
know. I've seen so many like TV shows where they would just burst into flames.
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I mean, well, because I'm thinking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and there's definitely been some times where
Mhm.
they just had like a coat or something over
I
their
was just
head.
gonna say that. Yeah, you'll see like parasols or Spike would pull the blanket over, which I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, fine. But we'll see in a minute, this all doesn't hold up. But I'm a big fan of like vampires shouldn't be in the sun. So like Vampire
Yes.
Diaries, they had like the witches rings that they could be in the
Yep.
sun, and I was like, boo, boo. But all right. So this part is so cool. Frost walks into the council, tosses the fangs on the table like dice, and says, I'm gonna need 12 volunteers. It was so good. So good.
Yeah. Pretty much showing that he's the boss.
Uh-huh. So this one we find out that Blade managed to get a page from the Vampire Bible, gives it to Whistler, who apparently can read an ancient vampire language. Okay, whatever.
I mean, he's been doing it for a long time. I don't know.
And how fun was it to see the computer disc?
Yeah. Yeah. If you ever want to feel old, just watch old movies, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember those."
Listen, I was watching Hackers today from 1995 with Matthew Lillard and Angelina Jolie, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous. But I thought it was so cool when it came out.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we all feel. Watching, I don't know, the Goonies or something like that, and
Yeah.
like oh, I remember that, like, or you remember a certain toy or something from a
Mhm.
movie or whatever, and then you like, wow, that was so long ago.
Yes, yes, it was. Yes, it was. Meanwhile, Karen has stolen supplies from the hospital, which I'm here to tell you, you can't do. You're never walking out of the hospital with supplies, but we're going to suspend disbelief. So she takes a bunch of supplies. She's discovered that a drop of anticoagulant into the vampire blood sample causes it to explode. Okay, all right. She took sample of Blade's blood so she can start testing in hopes for the cure. Whistler has a horrible cough. And did you ever see the old SNL sketch about acting and it was all about different coughs? It was always
Maybe,
like
maybe.
the I'm secretly dying cough, and it's always like because they hide the blood in their hands. So every time I see the indicative cough, and now you're going to catch it in movies, I'm always like, oh, that cough means something. So then we find out he
Yeah,
has lung cancer and he's probably not going to make it much longer.
right.
I call it the indicative cough. You know it when they're doing it. Um, Karen's bite marks are not healing. She looks terrible, and Whistler says, we didn't catch it in time. You maybe have a day or two. Put a pin in that because we're going to talk about that later. So she was bit. They had her back by within what, 6 hours? We'll give him 6 hours, but probably less than that because she's bitten. He takes her right to his lair. They inject her. So we'll say
Yep.
maximum of 6 hours, probably more like three. But that was not enough to cure her. She's going to turn. Put a pin in that. Um, Blade is out and sees Frost with a little girl. This is the scene this is the scene. I love this movie. I'm not critiquing it. It's a classic, but this is one of those scenes that I bring up a lot, which is Frost is standing out in a bright, sunshiny, no clouds in the sky anywhere day, and he's just smeared with sunblock. And I'm like, nope, no, no.
Yeah, it was because why didn't he do that when they were on the sunset thing before? Like, why did he have the whole leather get up like?
Why aren't they all doing that then? Why are you guys so hard up to find out how to be a daywalker when all you have to do is go to Walmart and buy a bunch of sunblock? Apparently, it's not that big of a deal.
Maybe they like sweat it off really quickly or something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
Write it down. Vampires in the Blade universe sweat profusely. They're very sweaty. Okay. Um, he's holding on to like a little girl by the chin, which is very scary. It's a very scary the way that he's holding her. I was like, oh, I don't like that. He said, I've been studying you. I want to be a daywalker like you. Frost is offering a truce. He wants Blade on their side. We'll find out later why. Instead, Blade starts to recite back the words that Frost decoded from the vampire Bible about the blood god. So Frost throws the girl, so Blade either has to choose to save her from traffic or chase Frost.
Mhm.
Obviously, he saves the little girl. This is another where I was like, we need more of this. Karen is talking to Whistler about vampiric hematology, explaining that vampires have to drink blood because they can't sustain hemoglobin. I'm like, okay. It's a genetic defect that's very like anemia, so she injects herself with a retrovirus used to treat sickle cell. I'm like, okay. It should work on her, but it may not work on Blade since he has a born mutation. So it's not an abnormality like that she just picked up, something he was born with. But
Right.
before they get a chance to speak further, Frost, Quinn, Mercury, and the other vampires attack the warehouse. Karen is grabbed and they beat the shit out of Whistler. I forgot. That's a brutal scene.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Messed up.
Yikes. And I love Chris Christopherson, so it was just hard to watch in general, but I'm just like, yikes. Blade arrives. He finds dead familiars, a blood-covered sheet, which he pulls off and sees Whistler, and there's a videotape that says, play me. Whistler says, Frost took her. Listen to me. The disc, I decoded it. Frost is trying to trigger a vampire apocalypse through some kind of vampire god that he's going to resurrect, and you're the key. So this is why Frost was like, why don't you just come be friends with us? Because they need Blade.
Right.
He needs your blood, the blood of the Daywalker. You can't go after them. If Frost gets his hands on you, it's all over. There's going to be armies of these fuckers. You're going to have to finish me off. You don't want me to come back? And then he says, give me your gun, which Blade does. And then he's like, walk away, damn it, walk away. And Blade like walks away. Oh, this acting is so good. And you just hear the sound and he doesn't look back. Really good. But put a
Yeah.
pin in that.
Right.
What a waste of amazing acting.
Yeah, it's like yeah. I hate when movies franchises do stuff like that, but
Same.
Hollywood.
Hollywood. We're gonna write them a letter. Dear
Stop
Hollywood.
bringing characters back.
Like, have some balls. If you killed them, figure it out. You killed them. And I'm saying this as a writer. Like sometimes I write myself into a corner, but like that's my corner now. So I have to figure it out. I can't just be
Right.
like, it was all a dream. Like,
Right.
I
Figure
hate that
it
shit.
out. Yeah, figure it out. Yeah.
The videotape is Frost showing Karen being held and telling Blade where to find them. So this is pretty cool. He makes this ammo and it's like special darts that has the anticoagulant inside of it. But then he takes the time to meditate. Maybe it's not the time, but okay.
Yeah, right now is not the time to do that.
Okay. I feel like Wesley Snipes was like, I'll do it, but you have to have a scene of me meditating.
I have to gather my keys.
I think Blade would meditate. At Frost's apartment, again, coolest apartment I've ever seen. He's sitting with Karen and Mercury, and we see that the vampires can smoke. Again, Frost is hitting on Karen. She is not interested. She tells Frost that she has a cure for vampires who were turned. And then she points out, this is so good. She's like, you're not a species, you're a virus, kind of like an STD.
Yeah, she was just pissing him off, or trying to anyway.
Oh, good. Um, and then he says, when the blood god comes back, anyone in his path will be turned. So the blood god just like spreads, like just wherever he goes, everyone around him turns. That would be crazy.
Yeah, a vampire apocalypse.
Yeah. But also, if you want to know how that turns out, watch Daybreakers.
Yeah.
Just saying. Um, then they're like, Blade is here, Quinn is panicked, and this is also a fabulous acting. He is panicked. Blade crashes into the apartment and opens fire. Frost is reminding everyone over his earpiece, I need Blade alive. Don't kill him. Blade gets the anticoagulant darts into two vampires, and again, the special effects don't hold up, but I loved it. They like bubble up and then explode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it was really gory, but it definitely didn't hold up well.
Mm-mm.
But back then it looked great.
I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't change a thing, but this is the scene I remember in the movie theaters. I hadn't put it together. I think because so much is being thrown at you, and that's probably why they did it. He goes to Frost's bedroom. The coffin bed opens up. The beautiful vampire is in there. She sits up, and it's Blade's mother.
Yeah. I
I gasped. I didn't put it together.
Yeah, I didn't I think the first time I watched it, I didn't catch that at
Mhm.
all. Um, because we see her so, real
So
quick at
quick.
the beginning of the
Mhm.
film. It just didn't register in my brain.
Nope, nope, nope. But now when you go back and watch it, you're like, well, obviously. But they did
Yep.
a really good job. First off, that first scene is so brief.
Yep.
And she does look so different because now she's a vampire. So she has the vampire beauty and all that. But yeah,
Mhm.
I was like, oh. Um, we find out that she was turned the night of his birth and welcomed into the vampire coven by Frost. So we find out Frost is the one that made him what he is. That's good.
Full circle.
So good. So good. Frost is his baby daddy. Baby vampire daddy? Vampire baby daddy.
Vampire baby daddy is crazy.
Um, but I distracted myself with vampire baby daddy. So no. All right. Blade is so distracted by his mother. Frost comes in, goons arrive, he's tased down to the ground and sedated. Which, man, they held that taser on him.
Oh yeah. I
Oof.
mean, he has, the vampire ability, so it probably took a lot more than, just a
Yeah.
regular,
And he
you know.
was big. Wesley was big in these
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Dang. Um, so Blade awakens with Karen in a container that's being driven. They're in some kind of like box truck. He says he needs his serum and he'll take her cure when this is all done. And she reveals, but if you do, you'll be entirely human. So it like wipes out everything vampiric inside you.
Mhm.
They're pulled from the cargo truck into some secluded location and taken underground into some kind of like ancient vampire chamber, which is called the Temple of Eternal Night. And I was like, that is all. I wish that was real. And also, is this just like outside the city?
Right. Like, where the hell, where did they find this place? But another thing that would have been cool to get like a little bit more back history on.
Yeah. That's like that reminds me of the end of From Dusk Till Dawn. That's that
Yep.
shot of them
Yep.
pulling back and you see it's like this Aztec temple that goes all the way down. I was like, that's so awesome.
Like, where
Um,
the hell did that come from? Yeah.
but that also
Yeah.
implies, like, remember, there's like thousands of cars. So they have killed so
Yeah.
many people. They've been doing this for so long. And it's such a simple way of showing that that it's just like, oh.
Yep.
Um,
Made sense.
yeah. And I think Frost even says, like, people forgot this was even down here. I'm like, how? How do you
Yeah.
forget about an entire temple?
Right. Right.
Okay. We see that Frost also has the council is down there.
Mhm.
We find out that the whole point of this temple, the whole reason it was built, was to resurrect the blood god, and he's going to do it that night. He takes Blade's sword, but he is able to disengage the trigger. He knows how to work the trigger system. And so now he has Blade's sword. We see, and this is like such a trope, we see him fighting the thirst, like fighting to not be overtaken by his vampire nature. Um,
Hmm.
then Frost takes these vials that he thinks is the serum, but it's actually the anticoagulant darts. And he's like, "Do you need this? Do you need this?" And then he tosses it, and we see it catch like in a crack in the wall.
Yep.
Blade is taken away, and the council vamps are taken to the bottom of this chamber and like lined up in a circular platform. This whole setting, like whoever built this setting, so cool.
Yep.
Then Karen is taken to a separate room. So this time I listened to what Quinn and Frost were saying. So they're talking to Karen and they're like, "Yeah, sometimes when the turn happens, like they get all messed up and then they'll eat anything and like rats and each other and all kinds of stuff." And so I didn't catch that the first time. So they do kind of explain and then they throw her down in a pit. Um, in the pit, we get to see who or what they were talking about. So it's a floor covered in bones, and inside is Curtis, her coworker that was like in love with
Hmm.
her, but he's
Yep.
like a revenant, I guess, is what you would call it.
Okay.
And he's like mumbling to himself, and she goes, "Curtis," and he's like, "Do you want to get back together?" So there's still some kind of memory in there. But yeah, he was like a revenant, and the makeup is really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Practical effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But the idea that like sometimes the turn gets messed up for some reason, I thought that was pretty interesting. I want more of that.
Yeah.
Let's see more of that. Okay. But she's able to fight and get out. Curtis is dead. Um, so meanwhile, Blade is locked into what's like it's kind of like an Iron Maiden. It's stone, but it's like an
Yep.
Iron Maiden with spikes inside. His mother
Yep.
talks to him, says she's a vampire and vampires are her people now. And she says, "Your mother died a long time ago. I've hunted, I've killed, I've enjoyed it. Haven't you?" Sooner or later, the thirst always wins. And then she steps away and triggers this sarcophagi. It was such a great shot because she just like steps backwards and her heel triggers the
Yep.
thing in the floor and it closes and we see it start to slice his wrists and then
Mhm.
his blood starts to pour out. This whole setting is fabulous.
Yeah.
Also,
Pretty cool
that
idea.
such a good idea. Such a good idea. Meanwhile, Mercury is running her mouth to the elders, and one of them pisses her off. So she stabs him with Blade's sword. But I was like, didn't you need 12? Wasn't that the whole
Yeah,
point?
that's what I thought this last time because I've never noticed that before. I was like, wait,
Uh,
they only have 11 now. Like, what the
That's what
hell is
I
going?
thought too. So I was like, is he going to have to pull someone else in? They never address it, Brian. It is never
Yeah.
addressed. So did they bring 13 just in case?
Yeah, they were pretty inconsistent throughout this movie with certain things.
I like to think that he's like, let's just bring a couple extras because anything can happen.
Right.
We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I was like, she just killed an elder. Isn't
Yeah,
that going to be a problem?
they never said
Nope.
anything about it at all.
Nope. It's never addressed at all. I'm so glad you caught that because I was like, all right. Um, and then Frost and Quinn are getting in place for the ritual. Karen found Blade, got him out of the Iron Maiden. She offers her neck for him to drink, and he does. And this is another trope we see all the time, which
Yep.
is you offer yourself up so that the hero can win, blah, blah, blah. We've all seen it. Also, he drinks like for a really long time.
Yeah. I don't know how she was able to get up after that. Like,
Not just get up. She like gets up and fights and runs and jumps and all that
yeah.
stuff. And I'm like, he drinks for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Now he's free, but his blood has already filled the chamber. So we see it's like it comes down these like rivets in the walls and it starts to pour down into the chamber. It drips on
Mhm.
each of the forehead of the elders. Frost stands in the center on the dais and the blood drops on his forehead. And then the god returns and Frost is the vessel. So this is when we can see the red eyes. Um, Blade's mother enters and her and Blade fight. It's a great scene. While this is happening, Karen apparently has recovered from extreme blood loss and gets a shotgun. She does this thing where she like says, "Hey," and he turns and she grabs a shotgun and like kicks him into the chamber. It's really well done. But again, she'd be a little bit dizzy, I would think.
Right. Right.
Okay. Um, Blade's mother tries the whole, "You wouldn't hurt your mother, would you?" And then
Right.
yeah, then he stakes her. But how weird was it that she was like trying to seduce him and it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was, but then I thought like, that's kind of in a lot of vampires. Like
Hmm.
they're very seductive, so
Hmm.
it made sense. Like they probably don't look at each other like family
And
in that
she
type of
never
way.
saw him. She
Yeah.
never saw him. Oh, and we find out his name is Eric. That's another thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, his name is Eric. We're gonna stick with Blade though. I think Blade is.
Yeah. And Blade is better.
I like to think his driver's license just says Blade. Um, so all the elders are fried, and these like deep bone demon dragons pop out of them, which was very cool. And they're like, again, the doesn't hold up now, but go along for the ride. They're like flying around and they're flying in and through Frost, which is very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I really like that. So the ritual is complete. He rises. Mercury says, "Deacon," and he says, "Not anymore." It's great. So this is where Wesley like he earned his chops. He comes in and he goes Frost, and then it's just the fighting is so good. This was also great. Quinn runs at him and then just gets decapitated. After all that buildup, he just chops his head
Yeah.
off. Done. There's
Yeah,
no
it's like
talking, no nothing.
he was like, okay, I'm done with you now. Like, let's end this.
I hate when there's a big talk, 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 talk. Like you would just chop his head off. You have like 27 vampires to kill. You're not going to stop and
Yeah,
have a big conversation. I
right.
love that. And this is the thing where he chops he chops Quinn's head off and his sunglasses go flying and he like catches them midair and then puts them on.
Yeah, gotta have
So
those glasses on.
it's so good. Um so this is another thing too is I love when you have dozens of villains but they come at you one by one, which is it's very considerate.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it easier so we can see
Yeah.
everything.
I will say though, the choreography mixed with the music still hits.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it reminded me of the rave scene again.
Oh,
People dancing
so
to the
good.
to the music. So yeah,
Yeah.
very fitting.
Yeah. So good. Meanwhile, Karen and Mercury are fighting. So we get like a girl fight. We get like a hand-to-hand
Mm.
girl fight, which is very cool. Karen sprays vampire mace into Mercury's mouth and her head explodes, which is great because she was not a likable character. Yeah. Um, and I think this is the scene. This is my favorite. It's almost as good as the arm pump. This is the one where he lands like kind of in a half split and the sword is down and then he just twists it. He just does like a little quarter turn. So
Yeah.
good. So good. So he finds his sword. The fight ends with the iconic pose and the little just a little quarter turn. It's so perfect. So now it's Blade versus Frost. Or I'm sorry, Blade
Mhm.
versus the Blood God. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about this in my podcast, but I love a sword fight. Love it.
Mm.
I love a vampire sword fight. I get bummed when there's guns. I want a good old sword fight. So this like I liked it.
Yeah, because they could have easily did a gunfight because
Gotta
they
be so
use guns a
awesome.
lot throughout the film, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's nice that it was
Yeah.
a sword fight. It's more um it's more of a dance, like you
Hmm.
just see them going back and forth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yep. So good. And then this is where we get to see that Blade slices Frost in half and his top half goes, but then like blood comes out and pulls him back together. So he fuses
Yeah.
back together. And Blade's face is so good in this. He's like, um, so then he gets a sword into Frost. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So Blade is knocked down. He looks up and he sees the anticoagulant vials. And Frost is like, "Oh, your serum's not going to help you now." He throws the sword up. It hits into the crack. Then the hilt opens up. That sends the serum down. He catches it. Frost leaps for him. Blade throws all but one into Frost and says, "This is such a good line." And apparently, Wesley came up with this line. He goes, "Some motherfuckers are always trying to skate uphill." And then he
Yeah.
throws the last one in the air, spin kicks it into Frost's forehead, and Frost explodes. So good.
Yeah, it's probably one of, if not the most memorable line from the film.
So good. So good. And apparently, this came from a conversation backstage where they were talking about one of the characters in the film, and I think it was Frost. And Wesley said, like, yeah, it's some people are just always trying to skate uphill. And someone went, "That's good. That's
Let's
good."
use
Mhm.
that.
Karen says, "Let's get out of here." They climb up and out into the sunrise. She offers to find a cure, but he tells her, "Keep it. There's a war. I need to keep fighting. If you want to help me, make me a better serum." Then we cut to Moscow. It's snowing. A man is leading a woman to a building with one of the vampire glyphs on it. He grabs her throat, showing Fang. Blade arrives. Credits. So it was kind of like the same thing that we saw in the beginning of our movie, but just now in Moscow. And
Right.
that is the
Right.
end of Blade 1. And I remember
Yeah.
the credits rolling and just being like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I think I do remember seeing this at the drive-in. Because that last scene, I just remember like being not outside, but just remember like kind of being in the car, kind of outside and looking at that last scene.
Hmm.
Um, and seeing the credits roll and everything. I'm pretty sure I was at the drive-in. So
That's so cool.
yeah, just bring back memories.
Now, the second two I watched, I rented. I rented them at Blockbuster and watched them at home. So this was the only one I got to catch in theaters, which, I mean, if you're going to pick one to see in theaters, that would be the one. But I
Exactly.
remember hearing that a sequel was coming out. And did you have an idea of what they were going to do in the sequel? Did you have any kind of thoughts?
No, I think I know I was excited to see it just because I liked the first one so much, but I didn't really have any idea what they were going to do in the second film.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, I was interested. It came out 4 years after the original. So we would have been in what, 2002.
mhm.
Guillermo del Toro, famous director, he
Yes.
directed it. Without giving too much away, a couple people reprise their role, which we'll get to that. But we do have some crossovers. So Matthew Schultz plays Chupa in this one. He has like a big part in this one, and apparently he was in the first one. So he must have just been like an extra or a side character or something. So they brought him back.
Hmm.
Ron Perlman plays Reinhardt, and he's in Kronos. Have you ever seen Kronos?
Uh, Possibly.
Yeah. Kronos is the one where they
I,
find the golden beetle that it like legs come out and stab your hand, and then once it stabs your hand, you start to turn back. It's a vampire film.
I think I have.
Yeah, it's pretty
Maybe
iconic. Yeah.
maybe a long time ago, but I think I
Yeah.
have.
Yep. So that, of course, was directed by Guillermo del Toro. It was like his
Uh-huh.
first film, and he was in college, I think, or somebody from college said to him, like, "Nobody is going to watch this trash." It won so many awards, and now he's Guillermo del Toro. But in
Right.
it was Ron Perlman. So then he brought him back for Blade 2, which I always love to see that. And then, of course,
Uh-huh.
Guillermo del Toro did The Strain. Have you seen The Strain?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to do that on my podcast one day. And then Thomas Kretschmann played Damaskinos in this, and he played Van Helsing in the 2013 TV series Dracula. And then he played Dracula in Dario Argento's Dracula. Have you ever seen that one?
When
Oh,
did that come out?
Dario Argento's Dracula, I want to say was in the 80s. You know Argento.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
makes a weird movie. And I will say this is the only time I've ever seen Dracula turn into a giant praying mantis. Like you, if you've seen it, you wouldn't forget it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's a wild one if you ever come across it. And then Tony Curran played Priest. He was one of the five. in this movie. And then he was in an amazing vampire film that I recommend to everybody, which is called Eat Locals. And then he also played Marcus in the Underworld movies. He was the original werewolf.
Yeah,
Yep.
I remember. I
Yep.
remember
Yep.
that. Yep.
All right, are you ready? I think
Yeah.
these two will be a little quicker because we have a little less to
Okay.
talk, or maybe more to talk about. So, Blade 2. So we open in this like scuzzy looking clinic. Nobody's speaking English. It's clearly some kind of Balkan language, maybe Eastern European. A man takes a number and he sits. He's waiting to give blood. And he talks to a guy next to him who's named Nomak. And he says, "Oh, yeah, there's no limit. You can give as many times as you want. They'll pay cash. You can even bring the blood in jars and they'll take it." And you're like, no, Nomak, again, you're going to notice this now because of me, has a very weird chronic dry cough. Put a pin in that. You can always tell when you're like, that's important.
Yeah.
So Nomak gets called back by a clinic worker, and as they're walking, she's like, "So you have no next of kin, no health history, nobody knows where you are, nobody cares that you're here." Like the line of questioning is so bizarre. And we see that Nomak has like a scar down the center of his chin, a linear scar. And the nurse is
Mhm.
like, "Well, how did you get that?" And he says, "Childhood accident." So they pass a room. We see them pass rooms that are like the floors are covered in blood and people are like mopping up blood. And he's led into a back room. They said, "We've tested your blood. It has an unusual phenotype." Two men force him into a chair while the nurse smiles. The clinic workers now have fangs. They're preparing instruments to drain him dry, and he just starts to laugh. And then the linear scar on his chin starts to open up. And this is when we get to see that he's not necessarily human. He attacks the nurse, bites her neck, is shot in the back, doesn't phase him. He looks up to the camera and we see these like visible blue vasculatures. He has icy blue irises and he says, "I hate vampires." And then these like tentacles come out of his mouth and then we cut to black. So this is another like amazing opening by the Blade
Mhm.
franchise
Mhm.
because you're in.
Yeah, I remember being like, "What the fuck is
Uh-huh.
that?" Is
I think that's
that?
what they want. I think that's what they want. So we just saw something eat a vampire. So that's all
Yeah.
we know right now.
Yeah.
So then over the opening credits, this is another great trope. Blade explains vampires exist. He's half vampire, half human. He has all their strengths, none of their weaknesses, except for the thirst. 20 years ago, he met Whistler, who taught him how to control the thirst and the vampire's weaknesses, or how to use the vampire's weaknesses, sunlight, garlic, and silver. 2 years ago, they took him and turned him. You're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? He said, "I should have hunted him, but now, or I should have killed him, but now I hunt him." So I was like, I just hit end on Blade One, and I know that's not what happened.
The inconsistencies.
What do you mean? And they even try and force a storyline. We'll get to it. So this is very early 2000s, by the way. This whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so
Oh,
vampires are
yeah.
being chased down an alley by Blade. Again, we see he is very agile for such a big guy. The vampires, again, they like disintegrate and they have almost like this like lava sparkler effect on them now when they disintegrate. I said it feels very 2002.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah, he kills all but one vampire, and this vampire's name is Rush, which Rush is a whole vibe. He has like a red pleather trench coat, and then he has like a big feathery boa. He's a whole vibe. Blade says, "If you take me to him, I'll consider you a loose end." And the vampire is screaming, he shot himself. Cut to vampire gangsters. That's the only way I can think of to describe them. They're like
Mhm.
gangsters, like playing poker. And then they do, like, they snort powdered blood like it's cocaine. I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, it's some weird stuff.
How do you even powder blood?
I don't know.
Okay. Somebody somewhere was like, it'd be really cool if they like cut lines and snort it. Like someone was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I'm like,
Let's do
okay.
it. Make it red. Make it red.
Make it red. I like to think it's like pixie sticks, but they just put red dye in it. Um, Rush knocks on the door. He's like, let me in. They open the door. Blade is behind him and he uses Rush as a shield, which is so great. He kills all the gangster vamps. He lets Rush go and he's like, I'll catch you later. Put a pin in that. So he heads into a room that has like a big blood tank, I guess. It's like a submersion tank, but it looks like it's supposed to be blood. And in it
Uh-huh.
is Whistler floating and he has fangs, which is very sad. He opens the tank, pulls his sword, then cuts like the tub or the strings that are holding Whistler so he falls to the ground. Blade reaches for a stake, but instead he throws Whistler over his shoulder and says, "Let's go home." So I was like, okay. So what were you thinking at this point?
I was like, why did like first of all, like he didn't become a vampire. Like he killed himself, you know, in the
But I
first one.
guess to their
At least
credit, he
that's
didn't see it.
true,
But why would he
true.
just
But
shoot in the air? He wouldn't do that to Blade.
it was definitely implied that he killed himself. Um, but yeah, I was just like, what the hell is going on? But I was like, it's just Hollywood being Hollywood.
Yeah, I think probably Whistler was such a popular character that they were like, we won't fund it if you don't bring him back. That's all I can think. Um,
Yeah.
Blade goes back to the workshop where we get to meet the new sidekick. His name is Scud, played by a very young Norman Reedus before The Walking
Yes.
Dead.
Yes.
And if Norman Reedus ever sees this, I'm so sorry. But doesn't he always look like he just smells awful? He just looks like he looks greasy all the time, even in this movie. Like it makes sense for The Walking Dead, but I'm like, bro, you just always look greasy.
I mean, they're hunting vampires. I don't think he's the cleanest.
But I don't know. I just like Norman Reedus just looks. And then at one point, he's like, he's got a cigarette and a donut, and I was like, you, I bet you smell awful. Sorry, Norman Reedus. I'm so sorry. Anyhow, that just means you're doing your job well because I believe it.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
He sees that Blade brought Whistler back, and Scud's like, this is a bad idea. They drag him into a seclusion room. Blade injects him with the retrovirus from the first one. He says, we're going to give him a rapid detox and we're going to make him go cold turkey. Scud doesn't agree, thinks they should kill him, so Blade sends him out of the room. Blade says to Whistler, if there's any part of you left, listen up. In the morning, those blinds are going to open whether you're cured or not, and he leaves the room and locks Whistler in. The the science does not line up.
Yeah, I it's one of those films you really just have to stop thinking and just watch the movie.
Right. Brian, you make a valid point. So we're accepting that there are vampires, there are mutated vampires, there are half vampires, but we're questioning the science of the retrovirus.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, this one's on us. Okay. Um, Blade goes up into his room and he has, so this is where they like, they shove this in. They show the memory of him giving Whistler the gun and then him walking away and the sound of the gunshots. We're like, okay, so we're accepting that this happened.
Right.
Cut to him returning to the isolation room with a gun, seeing Whistler is still alive, and he's like, I feel like hammered shit, which I think I'm gonna start using that line. I love that. I
I
love
feel
that.
like hammered shit.
I love Whistler is gotta be my favorite character by far. I just love Whistler. Um, so then we cut to them like washing up in a bathroom. Blade explains, I've been looking for you across Europe. The vampires kept moving you. It's been years. And so Whistler's like, they would torture me almost to death, then throw me in a vat of blood, let me heal, and then torture me all over again. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's dark.
Yeah, it sounds rough.
Yeah, that's dark. But he's a tough old guy. He does not even care. He's exactly the same Whistler, and I love that about him.
Mhm.
So Whistler meets Scud. He is less than impressed, and he's like pissed off that he's been touching all his stuff. But before it gets too heated, they're invaded by people, and they use these like goggles and see that the invading partners have a body temp of 50. So we know it's vampires. So that tells us the vampires are cold, which that's the first time we saw that. We see that Blade can either like fly or levitate or scuttle or something because he like climbs up scaffolding very quickly and very smoothly, almost like it's a
Yeah.
wire. Um,
Yeah.
they all arm up as the vamps approach. He drops down, they drop down. They turn on. This was actually so great. They have like a wall of UV lamps that they turn on.
Hmm. Hmm.
But we see that the vampires are in these like they almost look like frog suits. They look like diving suits, but they're head to
Yeah.
toe, and then they have these like big goggles.
Yeah.
So they're able to fight. We get a very good, well choreographed sword fight, which I'm so here for. But just as one gets the upper hand, they're like, wait, 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 wait. We're reps of the ruling vampire body, and we're here to offer you a truce. So they turn off the UV lamps so our two arrivals can unmask, and they are named Assad and Anissa. And they explain that for all this time, Blade has been the number one enemy, but at this point in time, there's something worse than Blade, and they need to join forces. And I love
Right.
this when two enemies come together to fight a common enemy.
Hmm.
So then we cut to Blade, Whistler, and Scud on a chopper with Anissa and Assad. And she says, I'm kind of disappointed because they talk about Blade like he's a boogeyman, and you just came with us so easily. So then Scud is like, B, show them. And then he opens up his jacket and he has like plastic explosives on him.
Yeah. Like he was ready. He's ready for
Yeah,
war.
he was. Yeah, he was. So they arrive to like the Vampire Nation headquarters, which is pretty slick.
Hmm.
Um, they see that the guards are familiars, and inside is Anissa's father, and his name is Overlord Eli Damaskinos. We're just going to call him Eli. Just, I'm not going to say Overlord Damaskinos.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot.
Interesting. He does not look human at all. He looks like Voldemort. It's like, what's that story? What kind of
Maybe
could
he's
this
like
be?
really, really, really old.
But didn't they say that the vampires do age? They just age slowly? Like, how slow are we talking? And at no
I
point
mean,
did you mention that they become reptiles.
maybe he's like close to 100 years in like human years, but you know, I don't know. I don't know.
Anywho, Lord Voldemort says, thank you for eliminating Frost. And then we meet Carol. This is such a great line. He goes, are you a vampire? And he goes, worse, an attorney. That's a good line.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So, this is when they talk about how normal vampirism spreads like a virus. It usually takes about 72 hours after the bite. But viruses can mutate, which is true. And they've identified a new vampire strain, which they call the Reaper strain, which I thought was a sick name for a vampire
Yes.
virus. The Reaper strain.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
being carried by a man named Nomak, and that's who we saw in our first scene. Blade is shown the footage from the blood clinic from the beginning. These reapers apparently spread very fast and they eat humans and vampires. The victims don't die, they always turn. It takes, oh, in only 3 days, they estimate that Nomak has made a dozen reapers. There will be thousands by the end of the month. They have a small tactile unit of trained vampire warriors that they call the Blood Pack. It's cheesy. It sounds like something high schoolers came up with, but the Blood Pack. We'll go for it. They want Blade to lead the Blood Pack to help them stop the Reapers. Blade, Whistler, and Scud talk about playing along for now so that they can get taken deeper into the vampire world. Scud doesn't trust that Whistler truly went cold turkey from the blood. Now we cut back to Nomak, and he's meeting with a drug dealer in a dark alley, and he attacks and feeds, and we see that there's probably like a dozen Reapers with him already. So
Mhm.
they're spreading pretty fast. I also like that when they become Reapers, they all put on the same outfit.
Hey, they got to fit in, right?
They're like, before you turn, here's your outfit.
Welcome to the club.
What size are you? I'm going to say maybe like a 32 long. Um, all right. Back with Blade, he's injecting the serum. Anissa comes in and says the blood pack is ready for you. I love this blood pack. Okay. I would definitely be a part of the blood pack. I'm just gonna say. Okay. So we have our fighters. They're called Lighthammer, Verlaine, Priest, Snowman, Chupa, and Reinhardt. I had to look these up because I did not know that, but now I do.
Yeah.
Reinhardt is our buddy. Oh, I'm blanking on his name now. He was
Ron Perlman?
Hellboy. Yes, Ron Perlman. Damn it. Um, he immediately starts shit. He's a big dude. Like, I think I
Yeah.
mean, not Blade, but I would be like, whatever you say, sir. He's a very big guy.
Yeah.
Blade puts him in his place and plants an explosive device in the back of his cranium, like just stabs it right in there. And he says, I have the detonator, so you can take my orders or you can die. Um, Also, we find out that these guys have been training for years specifically to take down Blade. And now they're having to take orders from him.
Yeah.
I like it. I
Make,
like it.
makes it interesting for
Yeah,
sure.
I like it. It's a great plot line. I like it.
Yeah.
They said, we are going to go watch vampires, the places where the vampires congregate. So Anissa says, we'll start with the House of Pain, which is a vampire nightclub. Why don't we have these places for real?
I don't
I'd be
know.
there every
I
night.
don't know.
Every night. So they get there. Blade tells Whistler, stay outside and post up on the roof. And then Scud will be in the van. And they say that Whistler can't go in because he doesn't actually pass for vampire. Poor guy.
Yeah, he's just getting fucked.
He's just too old. Nobody wants you, man. Nobody.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, this is the slow-mo shot of them walking into the club. I love this stuff. I love it. I love it. All
yeah.
right.
No, it was an awesome shot.
Yeah.
Probably one
Yes.
of my favorite
Yeah.
scenes in the film.
Oh, just them walking in. But then we get another club scene, and I almost feel like they shoehorned it in because they knew the club scene
Yeah,
was so popular in the first one. We have to have another one. So we get like another
yeah.
techno club scene. This one is much more 2000s. It is like all in on the 2000s.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. So, amidst the dancers, Rush, the vampire that he let set free, sees Blade and is like, oh, fuck, and runs. That was such a good little moment. Blade places cameras in the club, which Scud can now watch from the back of the van. And this is when he has like the Krispy Kreme donuts, but he's like holding the donut with a cigarette in his hand. And I'm just like, oh, oh, so gross. Then we hear a bunch of bullshit about pure bloods versus turned vampires, blah, blah, blah. It's weird vampire prejudice, which we see all the
Hmm.
time in these kind of movies. Now, under the dance floor is sewers, and that's where some of the Reapers are. And this was such a cool, I love when they do the drop down and you get to see them, and we see that Nomak can smell that Blade is up there. It's very, very interesting.
Hmm.
Anissa is up
Hmm.
on a second floor. So it looks like this was like an old theater or something, is what it looks like. So she's up there, the rest of them are in the center, and then Reapers are underneath. um Lighthammer and Verlaine go into like an industrial kitchen and they don't know it yet, but there are Reapers in there. And this felt a little bit like the raptor scene from Jurassic Park, the way that it was shot.
Yes, yes, yes,
Am I wrong?
yes, yes. That's what I thought about too.
Thank you. It's not just me. I was like, do I ingest too much cinema? Has my brain rotted? Okay,
Well, well, maybe mine is also.
that's fine.
Because yes, I thought about that too. I thought about
Yes,
Jurassic Park.
100%.
Yeah.
Scud tells Blade there's only 30 minutes to sunrise. And I'm just like, ooh, that's really tight. Why would you do that? But I guess Blade doesn't care, right?
All right.
Um, we see some Reapers are moving through the dance crowd now. Someone is on top of the van and Scud panics. Which, does he not know that he's out hunting vampires? Like, he looks like he didn't
Right.
see this coming.
Right.
He, like, yeah. Anissa is climbing a ladder, like up into an attic. And I got a little tense because I couldn't remember this part. Anytime someone peeks their head like up into an attic space, always gets me like, but she doesn't see anything. So she comes back down. And now Blade has joined her on this floor. Scud realizes he might be in trouble. And so he's radioing to Blade that they are on the roof of the van, but the communications are down. I guess they've spread out too far at this point. Anissa gets grabbed by Nomak and he covers her mouth. Meanwhile, Lighthammer is attacked and another Reaper is behind Reinhardt in the club. So they're starting to attack. Scud goes outside and a half a dozen Reapers run for him, so he locks himself back in the van. Blade confronts Nomak. Anissa gets free, and Nomak is thrown back. The Reapers on the dance floor are starting to attack. Lighthammer breaks the neck of one in the kitchen, but it just rights itself and keeps fighting, which is very scary. I'm telling you, anything with like cracking bones. And I'm telling you,
Mhm.
bone breaking, that sound, ugh, it gets me every time. Um, yeah. Oh, doesn't he do it like with he has the big hammer that he hits it with and it cracks its neck and then it sits back up?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Yes, so good. Um, let's see. I wrote the vampire dancers are screaming. So I guess that's because they're being attacked by Reapers.
Yeah,
Snowman fights a Reaper on the floor. Scud tries to start the van, but he can't as the Blood Pack is fighting the Reapers inside. We see that shooting the Reapers does nothing. The one gets hit with like 30 because they have automatic weapons. So they like
hmm.
fill him with lead. Nothing. Scud gets the van started and drives Reaper covered van into a wall, and he pins one of the Reapers between a brick wall and the van. And again, like it's just
It's
screaming.
still, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Snowman stabs one of the Reapers and drives the blade into a wall so the Reaper is pinned, but it rips itself to climb up. That was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I it's weird because the first film it was just Blade
Yeah.
fighting other vampires,
Yeah.
right? But then you have vampires fighting these fucking creatures that are just, I don't want to say more evolved than vampires, but just
You're right. You're right.
harder to
Yeah.
they're harder to kill than
Yeah.
vampires. So
And they're
it was
definitely
just,
more evolved because if they're eating vampires now, they're at the top of the food.
yeah, they're at the top of the
Mhm.
food chain. Yep.
Yeah, and it like
Yep.
rips itself out to scuttle up the wall, and you see its like guts hanging out, and then it just like fuses back together. All the fights are happening simultaneously. It's like a really tense scene, but it's really well done.
Hmm.
A Reaper gets Priest against a wall. We see its mouth open again. It opens out like vertically, and this like proboscis comes out of the mouth to feed on Priest, which I thought was there are vampire legends of vampires that have like a proboscis tongue. So I loved that they were doing this, and we find out later that that's important.
Mm.
Beepers are breaking through the glass into the van when Scud manages to hotwire the van and turns on the UV lights and fries the Reapers. So we know sunlight is the way to go.
Right.
Verlaine comes to Lighthammer's rescue and he lies and says he wasn't bitten. Listen, everybody, if you've learned one thing from our podcasts, if you get bitten, you have to tell people. Do not
Yes.
hold on.
Yes.
You
It,
got
it, it happens every zombie film, TV show. Like someone always get bitten and they never say anything, and they just end
have
up
to.
infecting the entire
Yeah,
camp or group or whatever. Yep.
horrible.
Yep.
Say something.
Mhm.
Scud gets on the radio and he's like, use the UV lamps. The sunlight works. The sunlight works. Reinhardt burns one as Whistler arrives at the van. Assad finds the downed priest and tells Blade over the radio, daylight is coming. You're on your own. Blade has tracked Nomak into this huge room that's like under renovation. This is such a good scene. It almost looks like a big chapel, like a big cathedral, and it's under
Mhm.
renovation. So the fight is happening on these boarded catwalks. So there's like plastic draped everywhere, and they're on these boarded catwalks, and they're fighting on it. Blade manages to get one of his anticoagulant covered blades into Nomak, and we see him kind of tweak out a little bit, but then he recovers and continues to fight. So nothing from the
Yep.
first movie is going to work.
Nope.
At this point, it's a sword versus rebar fight. And Nomak keeps telling Blade, we want the same thing. We want the same thing. Blade gets sunlight onto Nomak, so he flees to fight another day. And then Blade meets up with Anissa. Priest is screaming on the ground. So they know Priest has been fed on. Lighthammer is hiding it. He's
Mhm.
burning up. He's starting to change after only 20 minutes. So it's a very fast turn. We see that his bottom jaw is starting to split open. They need to kill him. Nothing is working. So Blade shoots a hole in the ceiling and it explodes Priest. That's the only thing at this point in time is sunlight. Blade questions, how come Nomak didn't kill you, Anissa? And she says, I don't know. Put a pin in that. Whistler and Scud come in. Scud says that Whistler left his post, but Whistler is explaining he was following a Reaper. And they go and see that one of the Reapers was trying to get down into the sewer, but he got like trapped in the sewer grate. So he's just like trapped there and he's slowly dying. So they want to take him back and examine him to try and figure out the anatomy. Meanwhile, Eli, Lord Damaskinos Voldemort, he is updated that the the Blood Pack fought the Reapers. There was a casualty, and the attorney says to him, "You're playing a dangerous game. You can't play him for much longer." So we know they're hiding something. Eli says, "Our man on the inside assures me everything is going according to plan." The attorney says, "How many more are you willing to sacrifice?" And Eli says, "Everyone." That's so good. That's really good. Um, and then he steps into a bath of blood, which comes, it is important later, but I'm just like, I mean, what vampire lord doesn't have a bathtub full of blood?
Right.
Um, so the dying Reaper, as is explained to Blade or by Blade, is dying because their metabolism is so fast. So if they don't feed like every few hours, they start to metabolize themselves and then they start to fade. Once it's dead, Anissa is completing an autopsy. Once the mouth is open, we learn that the tongue is barbed and that proboscis is what carries the virus. So if the proboscis doesn't get on you, you're okay. But once it hits you, that's it. You're going to turn into a reaper. Um, they have fangs that excrete neurotoxins, which will paralyze the victim while the reaper feeds. That's pretty cool. Like they're definitely a more well adapted, like you said, they've evolved. They're a much stronger predator at this point.
Yeah.
They want to find a weakness other than sunlight because this thing is deadly to vampires also. We see that the heart of the Reaper is encased in a rock-like bone, so a stake to the heart won't work. But we do learn that there's like a side part that you could get something up into if you had to get to the heart. But that's another thing, like you said, they're so well evolved that they have like a rock rib cage now, so nothing can go
Yeah.
through. Blade says we're gonna have to hunt during the day because it's our only advantage. And the rest of the vamps are like, I mean, that's a great plan for you, but what the fuck are we supposed to do?
Right.
Whistler and
There's
Scud are
not enough.
talking.
There's not enough sunscreen for us.
Again, why don't we just smear sunscreen on us like Frost did? Where did that go? That's like in the first episode of The Walking Dead, they smear themselves with zombie blood and guts, and so they're able to walk through the zombies, and they never use it again for like 12 years. Why?
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm like, why would you bring that up and then never use it again?
I don't remember that. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Whistler and Scud are talking. Scud says Blade and Scud met when he met two chicks backpacking. They took him back to his tent for a threesome, only to find out that he was supposed to be their meal. Blade saved him. Scud was able to make a UV light grenade. It has a 10-second delay. That was a lot, but that's really all you need to know about Scud. Also, why was Blade out in the mountains backpacking? What do you mean? He was hiking in his leather trench coat and swords? Why was he in the
I
mountains?
I don't know. They were just doing anything with Blade.
There's one comic that's just Blade going for a hike, apparently.
Blade in the mountains.
Yeah. Then we get one of my favorite tropes, which is like the people, uh, you know, arming up and there's music playing and everyone's getting their weapons and they're creating and they're putting stuff in. And I love that trope, like the preparing
Yeah.
for battle trope.
Yes.
Um, Anissa harvested pheromones from the dead Reaper, and they're going to smear it on them to lure the other Reapers. This is such a great moment where everyone's like, what do you mean?" Whistler says that Blade's getting too close to Anissa, and he doesn't like it. Again, they never mention Karen. Where's Karen? Okay. The team heads down into the sewers. So this is how they're going to hunt during the day, down in the sewers.
Yep.
They suspect that the Reapers are using the sewers to move around and probably also congregating, which made me think of the werewolves from Underworld. They were also doing that same thing, like congregating down.
Yeah.
Whistler is wearing night vision because obviously now he used the retrovirus. He's the only one without vampire vision, so he has like the night vision on. They've split into smaller groups, which why? Why are we splitting up?
Always goes bad.
For trained hunters, splitting up is so stupid. But I guess
Right.
they're so cocky, maybe. Um, so Snowman is alone with Lighthammer, who of course was bitten, which we know. But can someone explain to me why Priest turned in 20 minutes, but Lighthammer is still fine?
I I don't know. That it doesn't make sense at all. Maybe because he got fed on a lot more. I don't know.
I don't know. But they made it clear that the proboscis tongue, that barb, is what has the virus. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, whatever. But you know what I think it is, Brian? I think when they wrote these movies, they never expected like nerds with podcasts to sit down and break it all apart.
Basically.
Like no one's gonna pay attention.
Basically.
Meanwhile, here's you and me. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Right. That didn't make sense at
Stop it.
minute 17 seconds or 17 minutes and 38 seconds. That didn't make sense.
Whistler is with Reinhardt and Chupa, who start to get rough with Whistler, throwing him to the ground. And they said, we lost a partner, so Blade loses one. Poor fucking Whistler. Like, maybe retire, man. Just like
Right. Right.
go get a cabin in the woods and like just walk away.
He can't catch a break.
Yeah. Reinhardt leaves so Chupa can beat on Whistler, but Whistler has triggered one of the pheromone sprays, so he's now calling all the Reapers to them. Meanwhile, Verlaine comes up on Lighthammer, who's feeding on Snowman because now he is finally turned.
Right.
She's in shock as Lighthammer approaches. Oh, I guess we should mention that Lighthammer and Verlaine are like lovers. They're in love. They're in vampire warrior love. And so
Uh-huh.
she's like kind of shocked. She fires on him. It does nothing. She climbs a ladder and opens a sewer grate and kills herself and him. And I was like, good for you. I thought she was going to do like the weak girl thing that was like, no, please, no, and like let him come take her. But she was like, fuck it. I'll
Right.
take both of us.
Right.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I like that. Yeah.
That's a good ending for them.
Hmm.
Reinhardt is being approached by a dozen Reapers. He comes over the radio and says he's preparing the bomb pack, which is like a big pack of all of the light grenades. Blade says Nisa and then runs to her. So I'm like, wait, why? Why did he sense that Nisa needed him? I don't know. He finds her and Assad in they're like in this area that's like in water. Again, feels very underworld, but they did it first. So, but they're down in water. The Reapers jump up from underneath, which was really, really cool.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
they get Assad. Blade runs to tells her to run, and she does. Then he unleashes a sun grenade and drops it in the water and then counts to 10. So when it lights up, all the ones jumping out of the water to get away from the sunlight, he kills all of them, which I'm like,
Yeah. That was my favorite scene in the film.
yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
I really like
very
that.
cool.
Yep.
Nisa gets on the radio and says we're under attack. Some attack Chupa, so Whistler runs while Chupa's being eaten. Reinhardt finds a tunnel full of Reapers, so he runs. Nisa and Blade show up and they're back to back and they're completely surrounded. And he says he had to leave the bomb pack down the tunnel. Blade smashes the pheromones all over himself, tells the other two to run, which they do. As all the Reapers come to Blade, he unleashes another grenade, then runs towards the bomb. And this is when Reinhardt tells him, oh, P.S., the bomb didn't work.
By the way, Blade, did I have to mention the bomb lever's stuck?
So he didn't let him know that, like, the bomb's not going to trigger.
Right.
As
Trying to set
Blade
him up.
tries and does succeed to get it to start counting down, Reinhardt and Nisa are swarmed. The bomb goes off, and it's enough that it's filling all of these tunnels with UV light. Nisa throws
Yep.
herself back into the water. We see all the Reapers are piles of ash now, which, I hate to be this person, but UV goes through water.
Yeah.
Water is not sunblock, but okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It actually doesn't magnify water because that's why you get sunburn underwater. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Again, we need to just accept this and move on.
Yep.
Whistler is alone and he's confronted by Nomak, who like leans forward and whispers in his ear and then takes a ring off his finger and says, "Tell Blade the truth." That was good. That was really good. Um, Blade makes his way to Anissa. She's knocked out. Looks like maybe the side of her face got burned. Blade slices his wrist and feeds her, and then he's electrocuted, and Reinhardt knocks him out, which I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Power just went out again. Sorry.
It's crazy. We're also getting slammed here. Thank goodness. We got this. We're gonna keep going.
Okay.
um, Whistler also gets knocked out. Eli's attorney arrives and said, "You did a good job." Anissa wakes up in her father's chambers and says, I've shamed the family." They said, she's like, "I had to have Blade save me. I'm not a good daughter. Why, whatever." And
Uh-huh.
we see Blade come to in a chamber with Scud and Whistler, and they're all disarmed. Scud says they smashed up everything. Whistler says they've been lying to us from the beginning. The Reaper strain wasn't evolved, it was designed.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. So this is what Nomak whispered in his ear, and he said, "Nomak let me live. He told me the truth." Eli comes in and says that, he's so generous to have let him live. And then he reveals they've been combining DNA and working on creating vampires without weakness. And then we see, again, this looks like Jurassic Park. It's like all these vials of embryos, and it's all the different DNA strains that they're trying to create. They're like different embryos. And he says Nomak was the first, a failure, but soon there will be a new race immune to silver and sunlight. I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
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 Then Whistler throws the family ring and says, "How did Nomak get a hold of this ring?" And we see that Anissa's wearing the same ring. And it's revealed that Nomak is Anissa's brother. He is the
Plot twist.
twist. He is the son of Lord Voldemort. So
Yeah.
I guess she didn't know this whole time. Yeah. Um, he and Anissa leave, so Reinhardt shoots Blade, who detonates the thing in his head, but nothing happens. Another plot twist. Scud is the inside man. Greasy, nasty
Yeah.
Norman Reedus is a backstab. The bomb inside Reinhardt was never real. Reinhardt pulls it out of his head and hands it to Scud. Scud shows off Eli's glyph, Lord Voldemort's glyph. And it's on the inside of his lip, which like, oh. Um, then he starts beating on Whistler. This poor
Yeah.
guy.
he just can't catch a break. He just need to retire. Let it go.
And also, we're assuming that when he got turned into a vampire and then turned back to human, the cancer is gone? But still, like, you can't have good lungs, right? Saying like, and remember at one point he's like, they could have at least fixed my fucking leg because he's got the bad leg.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Blade says, "Number one, I've been on to you since they turned you, and number two, it's not a dud." And then he hits the button and Scud blows up.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
So vampires enter with prods, and again, Blade gets electrocuted. Holy shit! They have these like big like bull prods. They like hit him with like a bull shocker.
That's the only way to bring him down.
Yeah. So then Reinhardt walks Whistler out. Blade is brought to in an operating room. Ooh, place you don't want to wake up. And they're going to harvest his blood, his bone marrow, and everything else until they figure out the secret of the Daywalker. Goodness gracious. How many times are they going to try and cut this man open? Reinhardt has Whistler handcuffed, but unbeknownst to the vampire, Whistler has undone the handcuffs. Outside, Nomak has arrived. This is great. Anissa confronts her father with all the lies. He grabs her by the throat and reminds her that blood ties mean nothing to him. Anissa's going to need a lot of therapy. Like,
right.
The therapist will be like, "So what are you doing here?" And she's going to be like, "So."
Where do I begin?
Blade is telling the attorney that Nomak is after revenge, and that's when the intruder alarms go off, and we see Nomak on the cameras. He's inside fighting his way to all of them. Whistler knocks out Reinhardt and gets into like the air vents, I guess. I guess they're like the air ducts. He makes his way to Blade, shoots the attorney. Blade is not doing well, and he mumbles blood. Nomak has killed a lot of guards. He's very well fed. He calls out for his father and enters Eli's chambers. More guards fire on him. Doesn't matter. He keeps coming as Eli and Anissa get into an elevator heading down. Whistler is carrying Blade when Reinhardt fires on them. Whistler hits the ground. Blade manages to crawl to the edge and then falls into the pool of blood. So the assumption is that he just opened his mouth and started gulping.
Probably.
Because then he like rises out and he's like big buff Blade again. And I'm like, so was it osmosis or was he just like, he pulls out a straw.
I mean, that's probably how it happened.
It's such a cool shot, but just if you think about it, he was just like, oh.
To see Blade pull out a straw was
because he's eco-conscious. He carries around a steel straw.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever. Also, vampires have bathed in that blood.
Yeah.
Kind of gross. Just saying.
I don't think they care.
I mean, Lord Voldemort doesn't look clean, and he definitely bathed in that blood.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyhow.
That's true.
Reinhardt starts to walk away as Blade emerges from the pool at full strength. It's a very cool shot.
Yes.
I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it, just thinking about the logistics. The guard runs in and flanks Reinhardt with prods, and one by one, Blade takes them out in hand-to-hand combat. Again, they wait one at a time to attack, which is very courteous. Finally, it's Reinhardt versus Blade. And Wesley's big in this, but they're both big dudes. And so it was like such an impressive fight, just physically, because they're both big dudes. Ron Perlman's a big dude. So that was a good one. Reinhardt has Blade's sword. He gets it back, slices Reinhardt in half. Excuse me. Whistler tosses him his sunglasses again so he can do the sunglass thing. And then this is so great. Whistler fires on the Tower of Embryos and destroys them all. I was like, that's awesome. I love that. The writers are like, I guess we can't bring that back.
Right.
Anissa betrays her father, or can we? And then you just see somebody like gluing the pieces back together. Or like the little tiny embryos are scooting around the floor. They should hire us to write the sequels.
Yeah, they should. Blade 4. We'll get it done.
Revenge of the Embryos. All right. Anissa betrays her father and locks them both in with Nomak. Eli tries to tell his son that everything that happened was a tragic accident. He says, we can find you a cure. You can take your place by my side. He hugs him, but Nomak asks, if that's true, then why does your voice tremble? That's a good line. That's a really good line. Yeah. Then he bites his father, but doesn't use the barb, so his father will just die. As he bleeds out, he reaches for Anissa, who steps back and throws her ring down. She approaches her brother and says, finish it, and offers her neck, and then he bites her. Blade enters as Anissa falls to the ground, and now it's Blade versus Nomak. I dare say, and I hope this doesn't end our friendship, but I think this final fight is better than the final fight in Blade 1. This one's really good. It's really good. You'll have to watch the two again.
Yeah, I have to watch them back to back.
All right.
I have to watch them back to back.
It ends when Blade is able to get his sword through that piece of Nomak's side that he can go up and into the heart, which is a good thing they did that autopsy and that he paid attention.
Yeah.
As Nomak is dying, he says, "It's strange, but it doesn't hurt anymore." And then he pushes the blade all the way through and disintegrates. That was a really sad line. To think
Yeah,
that this guy
because
just,
it says that he felt pain.
yeah,
He felt emotions and stuff like that. So
the
yeah,
whole time he was suffering, all because his dad just wanted a mutation, just wanted,
right,
something. Yeah, that's
right.
really sad. Um, then Blade goes to Anissa, who's infected, and she can already feel the virus spreading. So she says, "I want to die while I'm still a vampire. I want to see the sun." So he carries her out to watch the sunrise, lays her on the roof, and holds her. Whistler comes out. As the sun rises, they look into each other's eyes. She turns to ash and blows away, which this is like the end of 30 Days a Night, which makes
Yes.
me cry every time, even though I know what's going to happen.
I mean, it's a very emotional scene.
It is. It's a very
Yeah.
emotional scene. I just saw it with Castlevania. Somebody like goes out into the sun and just like dies while their lover watches. It's a very sad thing. But yeah, so Blade stands, it fades to black, and now we're in London. Rush is paying for a peep show booth, heads back to booth 3, but when the curtain pulls back, it's Blade. And he said, "You didn't think I forgot about you, did you?" And then he stabs his sword through the glass into Rush.
Well, you didn't think I forgot about you, did you?
And that's credits. Blade 2. So you said this one kind of lost you?
Yeah, like the story. Well, again, it was a lot of inconsistencies for me. But so was the first one. But the first one is just so iconic
Correct.
to me
Yeah,
that I kind of overlook it. But
correct. Yeah. You
um,
look through it with a lens of nostalgia, which I do with a lot of
yes,
movies too. Hmm.
yes,
Yep.
yes,
I say it all the time. There are movies where I was like, I would not change a thing. However, let's just point out some of the
right.
I wouldn't
Like this
change a
is
thing.
bad, this is bad, but I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very quickly, we're going to talk about 3 and then we're going to have our final discussion.
Okay. Okay.
What? No, maybe I want to save it. We're going to save it. Blade 3. Oh boy. So this one came out in 2004.
Yeah.
Shockingly, has a massive cast. I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of people in this film. A
huge
lot of big name
stars.
people. Yep.
It cost them $65 million to make. So, like, they had it all in place. So they have Wesley Snipes and Chris Christopherson are back. Ryan Reynolds, Jessica Biel, Parker Posey, Dominic Purcell, and then they throw $65 million at it, and it did not make its money back. And that's why we don't have a Blade 4, friends. This movie is why it all disappeared.
Yeah, they had Triple H, the wrestler, was in it as well.
Oh, oh. But he went by his like real name. I don't remember what it was, but shockingly, Brian, not a great actor. Does that surprise you?
Oh, wow. But hey, The Rock started like that around that time.
But The
Wasn't that
Rock is an
great?
anomaly. The Rock is like the
It
exception.
took him. It took him some time to get there.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. But yeah,
Um,
Triple H was bad.
boy, it is a contest for who was the worst in this movie. It really is. It really is. We're gonna talk about it, buddy. This is where our laughs are gonna happen. So we have some crossovers. Paul Anthony plays Wolf in this, and he's in a movie called Suck about a vampire rock band that I've done on the podcast. Natasha
Mhm.
Lyonne is in this, and she's in a movie called Modern Vampires, which is garbage. It is horrible. James Remar is Cumberland in this, and he was in a movie that I just covered called The Night Watchman, which I highly recommend. It's a horror comedy.
Okay.
And then Francois Yip was in this, and then in a movie, if you remember Blood Ties from the 90s, it was like a Lifetime vampire show.
What ties?
I bet if you saw the opening scene, it would like all come flying back to you. Yeah,
Probably. It sounds
probably.
familiar.
Yeah, yeah. So we had some good vampire crossovers. We're gonna dive right in because people, I don't know if you're ready, if you're not familiar. So this time Ryan Reynolds gives us the opening voiceover, not Blade. And he says, in the movies, Dracula wears a cape and some old guy saves the day with crosses and holy water, but we all know that the movies are full of shit. The truth is, it started with Blade and it ended with Blade.
The truth is, it started with Blade, and it ended with him.
And the rest of us were just along for the ride. A chopper lands in the Syrian desert, four armed people who are covered head to toe. So they're bringing back the motorcycle helmets, the head to toe. They step off and they head into what looks like an ancient temple. But at first, one of them turns and like gives the middle finger to the sun. And I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
here we go. Inside, they use a tracker to lift stones from the floor. They descend into an underground tomb. And once down, they remove their helmets. They have fangs. They have abnormal irises. So we know they're vampires right out of the gate.
Yep.
So for the ease of the review, there's Danica, who's the leader, Darko, who's Triple H, Wolf, and Asher. I love the name Asher, by the way. Danica explains the language on the walls is cuneiform. It's 400 years old, and they're down there because this is the cradle of civilization, and of course, he would be comfortable here. Radar or sonar or whatever they have shows that there's a body below. The ground begins to cave in. A metal gloved hand reaches up and rips off the head of Wolf, who dies as a pile of ash. The lantern is dropped and strobes as the entire figure rises up from the ground, covered in metal armor, and Danica screams. So I remember renting this at Blockbuster and watching it, and I paused it and went, they better not be fucking doing what I know they're doing. And they were. And they were. Did you know what was happening?
No, I did not.
I knew it because of the glove. I was like, please tell me they're not doing what I know they're doing.
I didn't really know what was going on, to be honest.
You were probably just like, what the fuck? Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of what the fuck when you watch this movie. There's a lot of like, what? All right, cut to a cityscape at night, a bomb counting down, an explosion. Vampires run from a burning warehouse as Blade fires, and we get our opening credits interspersed with Blade wiping out this entire coven. Whistler is driving a Mack truck. Whistler's still going. He's still kicking.
Yeah,
It's more
still
believable if
around.
they kept him a vampire then.
Yeah,
It was like,
but I mean, yeah.
Whistler should be like, he should be collecting Medicare, retirement benefits. Like, how on earth are you still kicking? Oh my God! Do you see that head peeking in my office?
Yes, yes, I did.
This is my daughter, Mina.
I was like, wait, is the door open?
That was so fucking scary. I hate you so much. No, thank you. I think I peed a little, Brian. I think I peed.
I was like, is the door open?
That was very Japanese horror, the way that she just did that.
Yeah, because like I didn't notice it before. I was like, wait, I think the door just opened. It's like, oh shit, that's a head right there.
My heart just stopped. Oh my God. I'm sweating a little. All right. Clearly, I'd be great in a horror movie. I'd be perfect. I handled that great. All right. Anywho, okay, he's driving a Mack truck. Blade radios and tells them some vampires on motorcycles are headed his way. Whistler drives below a bridge so Blade can jump down onto the truck. He climbs into the cargo hold and then drives his car out of the back of the truck. And I'm just like, this is where the 65 million went right here.
Yeah.
He chases after motorcycle vampires. We see that his headlights are UV bulbs, which actually that's very clever. That's really clever. Finally, it's down to one in the street who he stakes, but it doesn't die because he's a human with fake fangs. And it was all a setup to make him murder on camera. That is so smart. Yes. Danica's watching the whole thing go down. She is in her apartment. She's recorded the whole thing and she's rewatching it. I was like, oh shit, that's so good.
Yeah, because like it opens up the world. Like it makes Blade look like a villain.
Correct.
Um. So yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of changes the perception a little bit of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Because all his kills prior leave no evidence. That's what's so great about the
Right.
vampire's ashing. But now he
Right.
has staked someone in front of witnesses that is human. So now he's just a
Yep.
murderer. Um,
Yep.
Now we see that him and Whistler are in a new hideout. It's like on the water somewhere. Blade admits he killed a human. Whistler says you're getting sloppy. And Whistler has this new thing for his serum that's like inhaled. He bites it and sucks it in like an inhaler. So that's the new inhaled version of the serum. On the news, an eyewitness is being interviewed about watching the murder on the street, and we learn an anonymous citizen recorded the whole thing and gave it to the cops. So I guess the dog is going to leave. Um, Danica, Jarko, and a vampire named Virago are walking up to a chamber that's being watched by an infrared camera. This was actually pretty cool. And we learn he's done nothing but feed since he arrived, and Danica says, I'm going in. She enters, and we see this armored vampire from the first scene is surrounded by bodies. He looks kind of
Uh-huh.
reptilian, and then he shifts to something more human. So now he looks like Dominic Purcell. He says, You shouldn't have wakened me. And he has top fangs and bottom fangs. He has abnormal
Mm.
eyes, and he's in leather pants. I mean, I'm not complaining, but
They like leather. They like leather.
I love a vamp and leather pants, but also like, okay, we'll move on. And he also has like a really cool necklace too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, she says, Your blood can save us. Your people need you. And he says, My people, you're nothing but a shadow of your former selves. She says, Times have changed. There's a new hunter named Blade. And he goes, And you would like me to kill him. Whistler buys a copy of the Weekly World News, which do you remember that? It was always like
No.
That Boy is Born, Elvis was seen, and like all kinds of stuff. But the
Yeah.
front says,
Yeah.
I paused it so I could read it. It says, Gun toting psychopath captured on film. So everyone's looking for Blade. As he walks away from the newsstand, his picture's being taken, and we see it's the cops, and they're watching Whistler. So the cops are on to them.
Oh, yep.
Now we cut to a TV show, and this was a vampire crossover I missed. Have you been watching the new Interview with the Vampire?
I haven't gotten caught up yet. I'm behind.
Yeah. Anywho,
I'm
it's a
behind.
TV show, and as soon as it opens up, I went, "Oh my God, that's Daniel Malloy!" So that was Eric Bogosian is in this, and he plays Daniel Malloy in the new Interview with the Vampire.
Okay. Okay.
He's the host of this talk show. His name's Bentley, and he's joined on the show by Dr. Vance, who's an author of a book about health, and then he's also sitting with the police chief Martin. Bentley
Uh-huh.
asks the chief about the rumors that vampires exist and are running the streets. They say Blade is a sociopath being hunted by the police, and Dr. Vance thinks that Blade is under a delusion that vampires exist and he needs to hunt them. So I thought like they kind of skipped a few beats because we know that the tape was released, but how is Blade now like a household name?
Right. Everybody know who Blade is.
Yeah, I'm like, how much time has passed?
Hollywood.
Hollywood, dear Hollywood,
Hollywood.
dear Hollywood. Blade
Come
is
back to
watching.
reality.
Yeah. I mean, you could have given us just 30 more seconds of how, through time, he has become now known to everybody.
Right.
And also, you just have that one camera. It's not like you have proof of all of the murders. Well, you just got
Right.
that from one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Blade is watching the show as Whistler returns and explains that they need to worry about vampires and cops now. Whistler thinks they need to find other hunters so that he won't be alone when Whistler dies. That's sad. Um, Now we cut to a woman with an armful of groceries, a baby in a carrier, walking down into a subway platform all by herself when four teenage punk vampires approach, grab the baby, but the baby is fake. And she is a hunter. This was a great reveal. This is
Yeah.
a good reveal. And the baby sprays garlic into the one vampire's face, and then she fights. And this is Abigail, and we'll get back to Abigail. Whistler is lost in memories. Blade is meditating again. But both sense that someone's coming, and it's the police, and they're led by Ray Cumberland. So we need to remember Cumberland is like head of the FBI, and they're the task force looking for Blade. They descend into the compound. Whistler and Blade attempt to fight their way out. Whistler types something on a computer, which I think wipes the hard drive, I think is what he did. Is that what you saw too?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Then he detonates explosives in the lair.
Move a finger and you're dead. How's about this one? He's got something in his hand. Get out, Blade!
Whistler is dead. That's it. He's not coming back. Whistler is dead. Or is he?
If they made a fourth film, I feel like he would have popped up.
Is Chris Christopherson still alive? Let's see. Is there still a chance?
I don't think he is.
Oh, that would
like
be
in
fun.
real life, I don't think he is.
But I mean, we could CGI him, right?
Good.
But we don't need to, and we'll tell you why. Because we're going to have a character introduced that ties in. All right. Whistler's dead, guys. He's gone. He's not coming back. Let it go. Cut to Blade being questioned by the FBI agents Cumberland and Hale. Blade admits he's killed 1,182 people, but they were all familiars and they work with vampires. I forgot that he would have killed familiars, so he actually would have left some bodies.
Yeah.
So maybe they do have
But
it.
how many were caught on camera though?
Yeah, right. This is like this is not Ring doorbell days. Like you didn't really, nothing got caught on camera. Okay.
Yeah, he would have been fine.
Yeah. The FBI thinks he's crazy. Dr. Vance enters the room and explains that he's there to give a psych evaluation to Blade. The FBI leave him, but they watch from the other room. Vance says, "Tell me about vampires," and Blade says they exist. Vance asks if Blade gets sexual arousal when he drinks blood, since he thinks it's like a fetish. He thinks it's like a sexual confusion. Then Vance says, "What was your relationship with your mother?" Which was a very good beat.
What your relationship was like with your mother.
It was a callback, yeah.
A very good beat. Vance tells the FBI that Blade is psychotic. He needs to be taken to the hospital. Then he goes and injects Blade with something and says, "With a hybrid like you, we need to give you a bigger dose." So Vance is in on it. He is a familiar. And he says, "Who could have imagined a human like me could overpower you?" And then he reveals his familiar mark. Then the chief shakes Vampire's hand, and the chief also has a familiar mark. So they're both familiars. Yep. Into the station walks Danica with a group of vampires. Her hair, by the way, I forgot when this was a style where they hairspray it all the way up. I think they called it the bitch bump, and it was like way up high with the ponytail on the back. I forgot that was like people did that.
Early 2000s.
Yikes. Yeah. That was the whale tail time too, where people would like pull their thongs up over the top of their pants. It's the same time. So she comes in, she goes into Blade's room and says, "I'm so excited to meet you. I'm such a fan." Then she indicates for him to be uncuffed. Just as they do, a burning vampire is thrown through the two-way mirror, and we see the hunter Hannibal King, played by Ryan Reynolds.
Evening, ladies.
Fighting to rescue Blade. While this is happening, Blade gets some of his inhaled serum. He rises to fight. We see the vampire Jarko has metal fangs. What do you mean? Why? What was the purpose of that? They look like grills, but like with two fangs.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I hate it so much. Blade, so dumb. Did you see Night Patrol? It just came out this year with Justin Long. That's another one. It's another one where they have like metal fangs like grills, and it's so stupid.
That's weird.
Dumb. It's so dumb. You have fangs. Why do you need it? Doesn't make sense.
Right. Right.
Blade and Hannibal fight their way out of the station. They're joined by Abigail, who Hannibal calls Whistler.
Whistler!
So that's our first hint.
Yep.
She has some kind of special bow and arrow that like it not only does it slice through the vampires, but it like goes around corners and stuff. It's like, okay, right?
Yeah, she had shot an arrow and it like bounced off the wall.
Yeah. And then one
Which
time it drills through the door.
yeah. It's like what? What
It's
kind
like
of
a
arrow
vampire
is
seeking missile. Yeah, it's okay. Once they're out, they're picked up by a getaway driver, and the introductions lead us to find out that Abigail is Whistler's daughter. Pause. Did he not say they were all murdered? Well, we come to find
Yes.
out like he had her after all the murdering, I guess, with somebody else, and
Okay.
she found him and trained to be a vampire killer. Fine.
Yes.
I think their plan was Chris was probably too old to keep doing this, and so they were going to bring Abigail in as the next Whistler, and they were going to keep it going. Is probably what I think was happening. Yeah,
Probably.
probably. So they arrive to their hideout, and we meet the rest of the gang. So Hedges is Patton Oswalt, and then he's like the tech guy. Natasha
Mhm.
Leone is Summerfield. She's the scientist of the group, and then she has a little girl running around too.
Mhm.
They call themselves the Night Stalkers.
We call ourselves the Night Stalkers.
Mhm.
Abigail tells Blade that Whistler wants them to join up so that they can continue to support Blade. So this is the part I would love to get your take on this. Blade says to Hannibal, "How do you know so much about vampires?" And he said, "Because I used to be one."
Just for starters, I used to be one.
And then he reveals the glyph.
Yep.
So I thought he meant human servant. But later on, it's explained that he was a vampire. And then they like gave him the retrovirus to turn him back into human. But it's very confusing.
Yeah, they definitely showed his tattoo, and
Mm-hmm.
then they
Which
said that
interesting placement on the tattoo, by the way.
yeah, it was
Pulls his
like
pants
of
down.
of of course that's where Ryan Reynolds would have his tattoo
Of
at.
course, of
Of
course.
course. But yeah, yeah, so he used to be a vampire. I was a little confused by that.
I thought human servant because a glyph means servant, but maybe he started as servant and then got turned because later on she mentions it. But then I was like, so can you just give someone the retrovirus after like 5 years of being a vampire and it just turns them back? That doesn't line up with the science that we were told.
Nothing lined up. I mean, like if
Okay.
you're looking at the whole
Dear
franchise, like
Hollywood.
it's like they were just throwing stuff at a wall and see what sticks.
100%.
Each
100%.
movie was something different.
And they were like, it's not like anyone's ever going to sit down and break all this apart. We're good.
Yeah, they were just like, is this gonna make money at the box office? Let's let's
Correct. 100%. Yes.
let's try it.
100%. All right. Cut to Danica, who's pissed off, saying she should have killed Hannibal when she had the chance. So we can assume he used to belong to her.
Yep.
She's throwing a fit in a room full of vampires because she was so close to killing Blade and they fucked it up. In comes the vampire that they resurrected, and he says, "Maybe it's time I join the gang." Back with the hunters, Hannibal's telling the story of how he got caught up with Danica. He tells Blade all about Danica, Asher, and Jarko. Hannibal was trapped for 5 years before Abigail found him and saved him. Okay. Abigail says we need to pool our resources because he's come back. Would you like to tell everybody who the resurrected vampire is?
Dracula.
Yeah, Dracula. As
Which
soon as they said it, I was like, no.
I again I never read the Blade comic book, so I don't know if that was a thing in there. But I mean, based on the beginning of the film, and then like you had to know like at some point they would introduce Dracula into the Blade franchise at some point.
They
But
didn't need to. They didn't need to.
no,
The movies were so
and
solid without.
the way they explained it, it was just weird.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a weird backstory.
And the way they break it to the audience is by tossing the comic Tomb of Dracula like on the table. And I was like, no, 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 no. So they reveal that the resurrected Dracula or the resurrected vampire is Dracula. He used to be worshipped as Dagon. Now he goes by Drake.
Dracula's only one of the names he's gone by. The Babylonians worshipped him as Dagon, and now they call him Drake.
Okay. He was born in ancient Sumeria. No one knows the specifics of his origin, only that he was the first.
Nobody really knows the specifics of his origin, but we do know this. He was the first of his kind.
The lore is that he went underground because he was sickened by the world until the vampires found him in Iraq 6 months ago, and he is pissed. Cut to Drake walking in the sunlight, which is fine because Dracula walks in the sunlight. And they did it so like he's walking normal, but everyone around him is in fast forward, which I was like, what a weird way to present that.
Yeah, yeah.
Night falls and he finds himself looking at Dracula bobbleheads. So he enters a goth shop and he says, "You sell vampire merchandise." The male employee is like very annoying. He is very annoying. And the female employee is clearly very intrigued. Drake looks at a box of Count Chocula, then throws the boy out the window and feeds from the girl. And we see that he has a mouth full of fangs like shark's teeth. So I guess his fangs can mutate because we saw him with two top, two bottom, and now we see him with a full set of fangs. So I guess he can mutate. I mean, he's Dracula. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Hannibal is talking about how they used to talk about something called the vampire final solution, but they're not totally sure what it means, and it doesn't make sense for them to have. This is the same thing that Frost was trying to do.
Yep.
They can't figure out why they would want to like, turn everyone into vampires because then there's no food sources. But whatever they're up to, Drake is part of it. Summerfield is working on something she calls the Day Star. It's a biological weapon that will wipe out all vampires at once, but they need Dracula's blood to figure it out because he is the first. They go to Hedges, who explains all of their special weapons. This is like it's like a James Bond thing where they're like, here's all your weapons, Bond. And so we see bullets that are explosive rounds with concentrated bursts of UV light. They call them sundogs. They have a massive shotgun that can shoot sundogs or silver stakes. And then Abigail has her bow and her arrow, but then she has this thing that looks like a bow, but what comes across it is like a beam of UV light. And she uses that to like
Yeah.
slice the vampires in half. The issue is they don't know Dracula's powers. They think that probably a lot of the stuff they read, like him being able to shift into wolves or bats, is probably not real, but they do think he can probably shift into looking like other humans. I'm like, where did you get that? Never was that discussed. They explain that his skeletal structure is more like a snake's. I'm like, what? Where are you getting this information? We're gonna power through, Brian. We're gonna power through.
Yeah.
Blade, Abigail, and Hannibal head out to use familiars to lead them to the vampires' headquarters. This leads to a montage of them beating up familiars until they're hanging one over the edge and asking who his handler is when the familiar's phone rings and it's Dr. Vance. So they just let him go. So I was like, that was very shocking. He just like let him go.
It's such a Blade thing to do, though. Like,
It really is. So then there's like a slow-mo walk up to the building that Dr. Vance's office is in. They take out the guards, they get to Vance's office, but it's not Vance, it's Drake. So this is when we see that Dracula can like morph into other humans.
Abby, it's Drake!
where you were saying about him being able to look like someone else, you could tell by the eyes that it wasn't.
Yep.
It wasn't.
And the necklace. He always has his necklace. The necklace
Yeah.
doesn't shift, which is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they realize it's him when they see the dead Vance on the ground. Drake shifts back to himself, gets a hold of Hannibal as a shield, and then jumps from a window. Blade follows and chases him through the crowds on the street through a building. Interesting, we see that the vampires, even Dracula, does not have super speed. They just run like normal They just run like normal.
Right. Which is, I feel like Blade was running. No, it wasn't Blade. Oh no, Triple H was when like towards when they were breaking Blade out, he was running after the
Oh,
truck, and he was running pretty fast.
yeah, that's the only time we see that. It's
So
interesting.
that's weird that they were just running regular.
Yeah, they're just running regular. But at one point, they like break through different apartments and stuff. And Dracula snatches a baby and is running with this crying baby up the stairs. So he can't fly either because he's just like running upstairs. They end on the roof with Drake on the edge holding the baby. Are you still there?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The baby's
It
so
keep like
clearly fake.
it. Yeah.
It's so fake.
Yeah.
I love it. Um, they have a chat and they reference how Stoker's Fable. He was like, "Oh, you mean Stoker's Fable?" I love when they do that. Um, the Vamps brought him back because they want to learn how to be in the sun like Drake can be.
Yep.
Interesting. Drake has his bottom fangs present, but no top ones. So like his teeth all morph. They're like in different, I don't know, maybe he can morph his teeth. I thought that was interesting.
Mm.
Drake throws the baby and runs. Blade catches the baby and he goes like
Coochie coo.
coochie coo.
Yes. It's like
Um,
it's so random. So random.
so dry. Um, Abigail is tending to Hannibal, who knows now that they are likely to lose against Dracula. They're like, we're so screwed. Like, there's no way we can beat this guy.
Right.
Then we get to see Abigail moving in slow-mo as her dad's voice reminds us about his dead family. And apparently at one point he's like, I don't want this life for you, Abby. And then we get her showering for no reason at all. Just a minute of Jessica Biel in the shower.
I mean,
How about instead of that,
early
we get a little backstory?
early 2000s.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Um,
That's,
Blade visits the recovering Hannibal, but Hannibal's snark is strong. Ryan Reynolds loves the snark, and his snark is so heavy in this that Blade just walks away.
yeah. I remember reading about some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
I think some of that tension was real.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Um, now we're with Summerfield, the scientist, and she has
Uh-huh.
tracked down all of the vampires to a biomedical research building. So we knew they were involved in like tech and all this stuff. Now they're involved in bone marrow research and genetic engineering, which we kind of knew from the second one.
Uh-huh.
Cut to the police chief meeting with a vampire, and the two are confronted by Blade and Abigail. They kill the vamp and then question the chief, who's afraid to talk. So they head into the building that they're outside of. And this is another one we see all the time, which is they're farming humans. So we go into the warehouse. This was dark, though. All of the humans are like sealed in plastic, like suctioned into plastic and just
Yeah.
kept alive. It's dark, and there's a lot. There's like hundreds of them.
Uh-huh.
Um, so we get to see them vacuum sealed. They're kept in comas. It's a blood farming facility. They're primarily unhoused and forgotten people. And the chief says, we're really doing the country a service. Yikes.
Yeah.
Abigail's horrified. Blade is furious. He shoots the chief and asks the lone attendant to enter the shutdown password, which they do. So all of these humans can now die in peace. At
Uh-huh.
the Hunter's headquarters, we see on the security cameras that a man with a limp is entering the building. And I was like, no fucking way. Did they bring Whistler back? We see Whistler watching them play basketball. Hannibal is sleeping. Whistler walks up, so Hannibal awakes and says, dude, you're dead. And then he covers Hannibal's mouth and we see the irises shift into Drake's irises.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't know. I was like, maybe they brought him back. I mean, at this point,
Maybe they brought it back.
who knows? Who knows, really? Um, The little girl, Zoe, is hiding. She hears footsteps. Summerfield is wandering around. Oh, I forgot to mention Summerfield is blind. So she's
Yep.
wandering around with like a gun in her hand. Very dangerous. Walks past several bodies, and that is really scary. Like she's wandering around, she's shaking. There's just dead bodies all around her. She doesn't even know. And then
Right.
the Whistler version of Drake is standing there. She senses someone. She doesn't know exactly where they are. He shifts back into Drake. He shows up behind her. The camera pulls back and we hear her scream. The little girl is hiding. Drake arrives at the entrance of the air vent where she's hiding. And then he reaches in and we see his fingers extend like that X-Files episode. That creeped
Yeah.
me. Do you remember that
Yeah.
episode?
Yes. Yeah, because I actually just binge watched like 4 seasons of X Files last year, and I remember that. That's
Yeah.
creepy as hell.
That one got me. That one got me. That one got me. That one and the Inbred Mountain Family, whatever that was called. Home. That's the one
Yeah.
that they didn't. Oh. Um, so Blade and Abby return. They enter the quiet building. They find Hannibal is missing. In blood on the plastic sheeting is the phrase, immortality will come to such that are fit for it. Did you really stop to write a message? That's so bizarre. It doesn't add anything at all.
No.
Behind it is Summerfield, and she's tied up by her arms and dead. This was horrible. This was horrible. Abby holds her, she's crying, and Blade keeps saying, use it, use it, use it. And so then she goes from crying to screaming. It was actually a very good moment, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cut to Hannibal being chained up. So we forgot to mention that Triple H carries around this like stupid Pomeranian all the time. And the Pomeranian is licking Hannibal and then reveals that it has the Reaper virus, like its mouth
Yeah.
opens. I had forgotten that part.
Yeah. I forgot that also.
Yeah, so we
Like, why
find out
did they
that
bring that back?
the vampires are testing different strains and the vampire virus on other species. Okay. Asher, Danica, and Jarko are in the room. They question him about Blade. Hannibal is as snarky as ever. But can we just take a moment to talk about Ryan Reynolds' abs? Holy
I
moly.
mean, go ahead.
Jessica Biel too is in phenomenal shape. Both of them
Oh
are in
yeah.
such good shape in this movie. But so watching it this time around, like when this movie came out, I was 24, okay? Obviously, that was all I was thinking about. But now I watch it and I think, I bet he didn't have a carb for months.
Probably.
He was
And
probably so hungry.
he had to have been in his 20s,
He was
late 20s
shredded,
probably.
shredded.
Yeah, he's definitely in shape.
Dang. Do you remember when he did the Amityville remake? That was another time where like he was shredded.
It was around the same time.
It probably was.
I think it was after, but I think it was around the same time.
Which means he just didn't eat carbs for like years.
Yeah, I mean, because he is still in shape
Yeah.
in the Deadpool movie. So
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not a fan of Ryan Reynolds, but dang, that is commitment. That is commitment. Um, Anywho, moving on. Um, he won't talk, but Danica says that she knows Hannibal and she knows what will get to him. So she says, you don't want to go back to being one of us, do you? I'll bite you again and I'll leave you here while you turn. And then I'll watch you every day as the thirst builds. And then when you can't take it anymore, I'll bring her in here for you to feed on. And they walk in with Zoe, the little girl.
Yeah.
So this is where I was like, so obviously he was a vampire at some point.
Yep. Yep.
That seems to work. Back with Abby, she's preparing arrows. I guess she's adjusting her bow. Blade says, don't let it turn inward. And she says, it already has. Then we see her testing the new arrows, adjusting the bow over and over again until the arrows are on target and it's like a shape of a cross. Then a new guy arrives, and apparently he's like from a different hunter cell. Apparently there's like different cells, which I was like, what? Where? What
Where
are you
did that
talking
come
about?
from?
Why are we
Yeah.
just hearing this? Another vampire crossover, by the way. So the new guy's name is Calder, and he's played by Christopher Heyerdahl, who was in True Blood, Chapelwaite, the series Van Helsing. He was in the Twilight Saga, and he plays Marius in the new vampire Interview with the Vampire show. And he was in
Mhm.
my favorite show of all time, Supernatural. So as soon as he walked down, I was like, I know that guy.
Yeah, so he definitely liked vampires.
He loves a vampire film. And I don't know if it's the way he looks or his accent or something, but they just keep casting him as vampires, which good for him.
Mm.
He's got to tell me how to do that, Christopher. How do you get cast as I need help. All right. Calder tells them that Summerfield left a message, and he plays a video in which Summerfield says she's completed a workable version of the Daystar. For it to reach maximum lethality, it needs to be mixed with Drake's blood. If it works, every vampire in the immediate vicinity will die, but they're concerned it will also kill Blade. They just don't know for sure.
Right.
Calder has made a small sample of the Daystar and loaded it into a gas dart, and they only have one. Okay. We're just going to finish up. Dracula's talking to Zoe and she goes, "My friends are going to kill you." And I was like, that's actually a cool little part. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
The heroes are preparing for battle. If they cut out all the scenes of Abby playing with her weapons, it'd be half as long. It's so much filler.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It really is.
Hannibal, it really is. Hannibal's being beaten, but tells the vampires the Night Stalkers have tracking nodes installed in each one of them, including him. The vampires react and, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I was like, what do you mean? Suddenly, the vampires start to react, and he goes, "Oh, that's because colloidal silver is being pumped into the air vents as we speak, which means my rescuers have arrived." That's where you get the indicative coughs again. Like,
Yeah.
something's happening. Blade drops through the skylight. The main vamp runs out. Blade has to fight all the no-name vampire guards. So we know they're going to die quick because we have not seen them till this point.
Right.
Abby drops in to free Hannibal. They go to save Zoe. Abby gets a great fight scene. Again, Jessica Biel was in fantastic shape in this movie. Her shoulders, I was like, girl. Blade
This
is
is
fighting his way upstairs. Huh?
I was saying I think this was the year after Texas Chainsaw Massacre
I was going to ask.
remake.
Yeah. She definitely, like, you can see when she fights that she's been doing some kind of arm workouts. So,
Yeah.
in a lot of her movies, she's lean, but with this, like, she had some muscle on her. So, yeah,
Yeah.
good for her. Blade is fighting his way upstairs after the three main vamps. Abby makes it to Zoe. Hannibal squares off with the Reaper Pomeranian. It was joined by two Reaper Rottweilers. So good. I love it. But we'll just say the dogs didn't win because we don't want to talk about dog death, but they didn't
Yeah.
win. Hannibal then faces off with Jarko, Triple H. Yikes. Blade faces off with Dracula, and Abby kills the power to the building. Blade and Drac have a good old-fashioned sword fight, which I'm like, yes. Hannibal and Jarko are hand to hand, and Hannibal wins, but I'm just like, yikes. Not only is Triple H huge, but he's also a vampire. So,
Right. Right.
okay. Danica now has an automatic weapon and she's firing up to where Blade and Drake are fighting, but Hannibal tackles her. Drake and Blade both lose their swords, so now it's hand-to-hand combat. Drake shifts back into like his original demon, reptile, dragon form thing. Danica and Hannibal fight. It looks like Drac may win, but Abby fires the Daystar dart straight at him, and Drac catches it and he throws it down. So Abby fires an arrow into him, and in that moment of distraction, Blade picks up the Daystar dart, jams it into Drac. It mixes with his blood, it erupts out of his mouth, and it spreads this like Daystar virus, like air particles, out into the entire building. All of the vampires, including Danica, who's fighting Hannibal, start like like they're being strangled and then drop.
Mhm.
Dracula shifts into human form and tells Blade, "How funny, my people were trying to create a new vampire, but the future of my kind lives in you. You fought with honor, I respect that, but sooner or later the thirst always wins," and then he dies. The sun rises, all the dead vamps turn to ash. Blade just lays there as Abby and Hannibal run up to him. Then we cut to the FBI agents filling the building. Hannibal and Abby aren't there, but Blade is. Then we cut to the autopsy, and Blade turns back into Dracula, and it was like Drake's final gift to him.
And Drake's final gift? Let's just say the FBI got their body. just wasn't the one they were banking on.
So Blade is still out there fighting humans.
Doing what he did best. He was a weapon. His life was a war. And everybody knows the war never ends.
And that is credits. And we did it. So.
Yeah, the third film was. It was out there. It was out there.
I not to use a pun, but the third film was the final nail in the coffin, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it killed the franchise. I think it wasn't good acting. It wasn't good writing. The chemistry wasn't there. The thing that made the Blade movie so special just wasn't there. And I don't know why.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that Wesley Snipes got into it with Ryan Reynolds. He got into it with the director.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was just over it at that point.
Yeah. I did hear he was really hard to work with. So this is
Yeah.
the important question for you, Brian.
Okay.
Which one is your favorite?
I mean, hands down, it's the first one. It's iconic. You got the club scene.
Mm-hmm.
You got the fight between him and Frost at the end. The one-liners. It's just even though that film also had some inconsistencies, it wasn't as bad as the other two. I don't think. Yeah, it's just my favorite one.
Okay.
It's hard to not pick that one. I do think the other two films had some action scenes that were better than the first one,
mm-hmm.
but I think overall the first one is my favorite.
Yeah. So I was writing something out and I was like, I feel bad saying this, but then I read that Wesley Snipes agrees with me, and I think the second one is the best film. And I felt so relieved when I read that that's his favorite as well. I love the first one. I think there's nostalgia attached to it. But I think when it comes to like the story and the ancillary characters, and I think there was just something about it. Maybe it's the science of it I was so intrigued by. I thought that Nomak was like a really strong villain. And then I loved in the end to find out that he wasn't really totally the villain. He was just doing the best he could with the hand he was dealt. I loved the way all the characters end. I wasn't too psyched about Whistler being brought back. I love Whistler, but I was just like, oh, that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think 2 is so fun. I would be fine watching 1 and 2 and just never watching 3 again.
I mean, I definitely think I think 3 is bad, but I mean, I would watch it again. I mean, I've seen it more than a couple times.
Okay.
It's just not something I watch. Like, I probably haven't seen it in 20 years. Yeah. Probably.
Blade 3, anytime I talk on my podcast about how much I hate when Dracula gets pulled into a story, I always bring up Blade 3. I bring up Blade 3. I bring up the one episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the first episode of season 5 with Dracula. That was horrible. Like, I hate when the big reveal at the end is, and he was Dracula, and you're just like, you don't need that. You don't need it. And then
go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're going to bring him in, you better honor that character. And I just don't think this movie did.
No, the movie definitely didn't do that. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I understand why they do it, though. It's because Dracula, like, if you had to name one vampire,
sure,
Dracula is the most famous vampire of all time. So I understand it, but I forgot about that Buffy episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bring that one up all the time. I think, too, it's like, you could have made him any ancient vampire. You didn't need the name. You could have made him any ancient vampire, brought him back because he's the origination of the species. You didn't need the name at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's just a like a marketing thing, honestly.
100%.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, Yes, I think so too. And I understand that they're both comics. I understand there's a lot of crossover. Like I went on Hack the Movies and we did the Batman versus Dracula. That was really fun. So like
Mm.
it has been done. It just has been done so much better than this. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was such a plummet from the first two that
Yeah.
by comparison it's just like, oh man.
Yeah, I just think that at that point, I think Wesley Snipes was over it.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
And
I
maybe that's
think,
why the chemistry wasn't there. Like the fun just wasn't there.
yeah, I think when did the third one come out? 2004.
2004. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, because this is after the first couple Matrix movies that came
Yeah.
out. Yeah, like I just think I just it didn't hit the same as the first film did. It didn't have that impact as the first film.
No, 100%. But I still love the first two. And I love that we decided to talk about this. And I love that we're honoring the anniversary. I still can't believe the first one is 28 years old.
Oh
But
my God.
I mean, what an iconic movie. And we say it before, like there are movies that just change your chemistry, and this was one of them. This is one of those
Uh-huh.
movies that said like vampires can be different. And every once in a while someone comes out with something where you're like, "Oh, that's fresh. That's different. I love that." So this was one of those like when it came out, it just changed vampires for a little while. And there's a
Uh-huh.
lot of knockoffs. There's a lot that try and do the same thing, but you just can't. The soundtracks, the writing, the acting, the fist pump, the sword turn, these tiny little things are just like, this is so good. It's so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It definitely had its cheesy moments, but it just worked. It
Yeah.
worked,
Yep. 100%.
especially for that time period.
Yeah. Is there anything that you didn't get to say about the Blade franchise that you're like, I have to say this?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
I do. Well, I didn't say it. I'm pretty sure I said it on my podcast when we were talking about Blade, or I said it at some point on another episode. Blade. Because comic book movies weren't doing good
Yeah.
at that point in the '90s, and Blade definitely it saved Marvel.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Marvel may not be where it's at today had Blade not been successful. So
Yeah, totally.
it was nice to see him come back into the movies a couple years ago. So
Yeah, that was exciting. I remember my son came home and he's like, I want to tell you something from Wolverine and Deadpool, but I also don't want to tell you, but I want to tell you. And I'm like, just tell me. And he goes, Blade showed up. And I was like, what? What do you
yeah.
mean? That's so random. And I thought it was going to be the new Blade, but nope, Wesley came back. And that's awesome.
Yeah, I remember when I seen that in the movie theater, I was like, what
I
the
know. So
fuck?
great. So great.
And
But-
then watching Blade, watching Blade 3
Mhm.
and having Ryan Reynolds be in there, it's like
Weird. It's so surreal,
it was
isn't
weird.
it? I know.
Yeah, it was weird.
Very
It was weird.
surreal. Very surreal. But yet again, vampires save the day. Vampires
Yeah.
save Marvel. That's what I'm saying. Well, thank you so much. I've taken 3 hours of your time, but I'm so glad we did this. I wouldn't want to talk about these three movies with anyone else. So I want you to tell everybody where can they find you and what do you have coming up. So this will drop August 21st.
August 21st.
What do you have coming up? Tell them
Okay.
where they can find you.
So you can find us on the Killer Point of View podcast. We're on all streaming platforms. You can follow us on Instagram at the Killer Point of View Network. That's where I'm most active as far as social media goes. If this comes out on the 21st, we just dropped our Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise review breakdown, I guess, if you will, which came out August 18th. So check that out.
Crazy.
And coming up next, we have a compare and contrast episode of the first Saw film and the Seven film by David Fincher, which is very, very interesting.
Very cool.
And there is an episode in October that I would love to talk to you about coming on for.
Please. What is it? Or do you want to keep it secret?
No, I can announce it. I want to do an episode on the Universal monsters. Not all of them, because there's I looked it up. It's like 50 something fucking movies.
Yeah.
We don't need to do all that. But I just wanted to pick like maybe 4 characters and then just have a couple people come on, and every person have a certain character that they would talk about. Obviously, you would do Dracula, obviously. But yeah, I thought that would be pretty cool. If you would
I would
be
love
interested in doing
I
that.
don't know if I told you this, but Bela Lugosi's Dracula was my gateway vampire. That was my first. That was the one that started it all, and I still love that movie. I still love it.
Yeah, so it'd be perfect. It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know the rest of the characters. I'm pretty sure he's going to do Frankenstein, but I don't know the other 2 characters that I'm thinking about doing. So
very cool. Well, I'm down. You let me know. I'm down. Well, thank you so much for giving me 3 hours of your night, for being so patient with like all the power issues and the storms and everything. It's wild that we're experiencing storms at the same time.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it's Mother Nature is.
Don't apologize. Thank you so much for giving me your night. I will, of course, be linking your podcast in the video description. I'll be promoting it everywhere. Thank you so much. I can't wait to do stuff with you again in the future. Definitely stay in touch, but please go enjoy the rest of your night. And thank you so much for sharing your love of Blade with me. This was so fun. And if anyone can't see, Bonnie's wearing her black leather jacket in honor of Blade. Even though it's August, but she commits. She commits to the bit.
She commits.
All right,
thank you again for having me on.
Thank you so much. You have a great night, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right, bye.